but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. You can feel it.
Get up on out the bed and start to move your balls. Wake up with Word and Solomon Jones. Word. You better wake up now.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. And I want to welcome you to another edition of Wake Up with Word. Y'all better get out there and enjoy, some dry weather today, because I believe Kuwaisa, for the next, 3 or 4 days in a row, it's supposed to be raining.
Yeah, thunderstorms. Thunderstorms.
I keep telling you, build your ark. I keep telling you, you better build your ark.
I got the wood.
You got the wood already?
I need some saws, though.
You need
that's
some
what
saws,
I need.
some nails, that whole thing. Yeah, this is crazy, man. Just, a whole lot of rain. My kids keep telling me, Dad, you keep saying it's more rain than you ever seen in your life. We already know that. I'm like, all right, y'all keep playing. Y'all keep on playing. When I get in my ark, all right, I'm leaving y'all behind for talking trash, okay? So, yeah. So get out, enjoy today. It is a beautiful day outside today, and it's not that hot yet. It's supposed to be going up to like 93, but again, that's normal. This is summertime. That's normal. I'm happy when it's like 90-something degrees in June, because I know that that's what it's supposed to be. I'm not happy when it's something crazy. There was like a big snowstorm in Mexico.
Yeah, I saw that.
You know what I mean?
That was weird.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Well, that's global warming. Y'all keep saying it ain't real. I keep telling you it is. So we're going to talk about that and a bunch of other stuff on today's show. And, of course, I just need y'all to know something about my sister up in New York. That's right. If you're going to come for New York's top law enforcement officer, Attorney General Letitia James, know that she is no one's tool and that you had better say her name. According to The Root, that was the message James sent on Twitter Monday after Donald Trump took to his favorite medium to slam New York Governor Andrew Cuomo for using the Attorney General as a bludgeoning tool to go after his businesses in the state. As Politico notes, Trump continued his rant regarding investigations into the Trump Foundation, which was forced to shut down in December 2018 after a lawsuit brought by the then New York Attorney General alleging improprieties. But James, who took office in January, is a sister, and she made it clear no one is above the law, not even the president, she tweeted. And she reminded Trump that she has a name. My name is Letitia James, she wrote. You can call me Tish. And then she did 2 snaps up and an eye roll. Look, she ain't playing no game. Look, man. And that's the thing. That's how they're going to get Trump, I believe. Once he leaves office, New York is there waiting with state charges like, excuse me, we're right here. Yeah. Here's some handcuffs. You can just put these on. Yeah. We got a jam-packed show for you today on Wake Up with Word. State Senator Vincent Hughes on the melee that took place last week in the Pennsylvania State Senate, and an update on Cheney University. CNN commentator Roxanne Jones on the 15-year-old who beat Venus Williams at Wimbledon. Has the torch been passed? Plus, the curious case of Kamala Harris, the black woman who isn't black enough, according to white supremacists, who Donald Trump Jr. retweets, plus State Representative Rosita Youngblood on the community protests against the new gas plant SEPTA wants to put in Nicetown. And we got some young people going to join us to talk about the social media messages that led to a fracas at Jefferson and Sydenham, right off 15th and Jefferson, over the course of this weekend. And as always, we've got you, our listeners, calling in at 215-634-8065. It's all free. 1-866-361-0900. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at onWURD, or you can hit me personally at Solomon Jones 1. Watch us on Facebook at 4Word. But first, it's the big 3, the news stories you need to know to kick off your day right here on Wake Up with Words. Story number 1, Trump, come get your kids. Traveling with her father in Asia, Ivanka Trump tried to play shadow Secretary of State in attending meetings, with the U.S. and foreign powers at the G20. Then she tried to bust into the French president's conversation. Then you had Donald Trump Jr., of course, on Twitter trying to repeat what his father did with Barack Obama with the whole birther thing, saying that she is the child of slave owners in Jamaica, and just craziness, man, with his kids. Kawesa, the man got to come get his kid.
He does. And like, did you see some of those pictures with like when he was like shaking hands with people and she's right in the middle and her face is just like, well, you can't see my face, sorry, but her face is just, her face is all scrunched up and it's just like, it's super weird. It's super awkward.
It is
so,
awkward.
yeah, he needs to get his kids.
Get your kids, man.
on.
Stop taking them everywhere. You can't take your kids everywhere. You see me bringing my kids in here. You know what I'm saying? You can't take your kids everywhere and have them busting in and talking and running their mouth. Valerie?
And Reagan won.
What do you think?
He said it was just take your child to work day.
No, it's not. It's really not. Not at the G20, not when you got other world leaders around trying to act like they qualified for anything. They are not. And here's the thing. Neither one of them should be on the national stage as presidential advisors, but Trump found a loophole in the federal Anti-Nepotism Act that allowed him to appoint both Ivanka and her husband, Jared Kushner, to senior roles in the White House. Ivanka and Jared and Don Jr. were all officials on Trump's presidential transition team, too. Maybe he thought because they met with the Russians when they was working on his campaign, they're qualified to meet with other world leaders. Not. Speaking of kids, this young lady, man, wasn't even born by the time Venus Williams had won 4 Grand Slams. The 15-year-old American Corey Goff downed the 5-time Wimbledon champion on her debut in the tournament on Monday. Goff, who is nicknamed Coco, is the youngest player in the Open era to advance through qualifying to reach Wimbledon's main draw, but she wasn't content for that. She beat Venus Williams, who's 39 years old, one of her biggest idols, 6-4, 6-4 in their first round clash at the All England Club. And I find it ironic, Kawesa, because Venus Williams opened the door for young black women like Corey Goff.
Yeah, you know, I definitely agree. Actually, I should give out a shout out to Althea Gibson.
That's right.
Too.
That's
you know,
right.
So,
come on now.
We gotta
take
make
it back.
Sure,
Come through.
We got to make sure that, you know, we acknowledge all of the great people who have made a way. But really, Serena and Venus, I mean, they really opened up that door. I mean, they busted that door down
They really
and
did.
made a way for people like her, Osaka. You know, so it's a beautiful thing. I know a lot of people are kind of like, you know, in Venus's face, like, oh, you're almost 40. You know, it's time to hang it up, all this kind of stuff. But you know what? At the end of the day, I think that it's great to kind of basically, you know, have someone who's a legend and you have just passed the baton.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It really is.
Yeah. And we're going to speak to our resident young woman, Valerie. What do you think?
That's a great accomplishment.
Yeah,
a
it
huge
is.
accomplishment.
It is.
I mean, especially when you're dealing, that's probably her idol, or at least somebody that she looks up to. But for Venus, that's probably a little bit of a hurt piece. Just a little bit. I mean, you know, you never want you never want young people to come up and just beat you, but you know that is the natural order of things, and that is the way that things are supposed to go. And you know, for Venus need to take props, man, for this young lady. Because she really did kick down the door for her and Serena. I remember when Serena first beat Venus, because Serena was Venus's little sister. And, you know, so just a really great day for black women with this young woman beating Venus Williams at Wimbledon. And story number 3, see, y'all think we playing, man, when we talk about this Facebook stuff and this racism with law enforcement on Facebook. It is not a game, and it leads to real actions and consequences in people's lives. That's right. Story number 3. Members of a secret Facebook group for current and former Border Patrol agents joked about the deaths of migrants, discussed throwing burritos at Latino members of Congress, visiting a detention facility in Texas, and posted a vulgar illustration depicting Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez engaged in oral sex with a detained migrant, according to screenshots of their postings. Now, you'll remember that, you know, the Border Patrol and ICE and these people involved with these migrants, they have children down there, man, who are dirty,
who don't have access to showers, who don't have access to soap, who are not eating. They have people down there, children in cages. They have migrants who have died in their custody. And so here's what I need y'all to understand. I read somewhere, as a man thinks, so is he. Right? And so when you're thinking that these people are not human beings, when you're thinking that these people are not worthy of your respect, when you're thinking that these people are animals, that these are people to be made fun of, that these are people to be treated any way that you want to treat them, that if they die, then good, that's just one more gone. If that's what you're thinking, and that's what you're writing publicly on Facebook, then that leads to actions that put people's lives in danger. There are people who say, why y'all going down to the police administration building and protesting? Why are you going down to City Hall and protesting? Why are you meeting with the mayor and the police commissioner over Facebook posts? It's just Facebook posts. Well, Facebook posts lead to people's deaths, because if you don't respect the sanctity of our lives, because we are black, because we are of a different faith, because we speak differently than you or come from a different place than you are, if you don't respect our lives, then that leads to people's deaths. Our lives are in danger because that is what you think and are willing to say it publicly. That's why we protested, and that's why we continue to protest, and that's why later on this month, July 28th, there is going to be a community forum around this very issue. Because it's not just Philadelphia. It's not just the 7 other cities where the Plainview Project went through and looked at Facebook posts by police officers. It's the Border Patrol. It's other law enforcement agencies. It's law enforcement agencies all over this country infected with the kind of racism that would allow people to go on Facebook and publicly say, these people aren't human, I hope they die. That's why we got out in the street. Because if you're willing to do this, it puts people's lives in danger. And when I hear about the Border Patrol on Facebook doing the same thing in a so-called secret group, it explains a whole lot, Kuwesa. It explains why there are children down there in cages. It explains why they don't have access to soap and water. It explains why when reporters went in there, the kids were dirty, the kids were hungry. You had 7 or 8-year-olds taking care of babies they just met. You had young women who were breastfeeding, their shirts all stained and crusted over with breast milk, like all kinds of stuff. It explains a whole lot, because you don't see these people, Kuwesa, as human beings if you are on Facebook saying that they're animals and they need to die.
Yeah, to me it's repulsive. It really is. I mean, they even had, images of AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, performing, sexual acts on the president. I mean, and if you are seeing, black and brown people in this manner, you're absolutely correct, Solomon. It makes a whole heap of sense as to why you would treat people lower than dogs. There are dogs that are treated better than the way that we have been treating people who are in this country. And it's ridiculous. And the fact of the matter is that they were really trying super hard to keep this under wraps and to keep this secretive. And I'm trying to really understand how people don't understand that everything that you put out on social media, it stays there forever. And they have receipts. Your picture is there. You can screenshot it. It doesn't matter if you delete it. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And here's the thing, and Valerie, I want you to weigh in on this, because social media is a huge thing, and it is something that matters more and more. And they are going back years on people, 6, 7, 8 years. It's not an accident that Facebook especially has archives of all your stuff. When it pops up and says on this day in 2006, you posted this, right? If they can go back and find that, then others can go back and find that. And that is why you have to be very careful about what you post on social media. If you don't want it on the cover of the New York Times, then don't post it. If you don't want your mom to see it or your kids to see it or your wife to see it, like, don't post it. And so we are at a time when social media matters more and more, and where people are using it to other folks' detriment. What do you think about people who are in law enforcement who don't understand that, Valerie?
I think they, to an extent, they don't really have any business being there, because that's high power, and with social media nowadays is high power. And once you start to show that, and you're just showing people who you really are, social media becomes people's reality, regardless of what you do.
Yep.
In the privacy of your own home, in the community. What's on social media is what everyone goes by, because that's what everyone sees before anything else. That's basically your resume before you're even introduced to anybody. So if all you see is negative comments and posts and derogative stuff, that's all a person's going to see with you and behind you and what you stand for.
Exactly. It's exactly that. And if you don't understand that, then maybe you need another gig, because we need you as somebody who is in law enforcement, has a badge, has a gun, has the authority of the law behind you, can shoot and kill somebody, and have the authority of law to be able to do that. Then you need to be a person with good judgment. If you don't have good enough judgment not to go on Facebook and say that you hate the very people who you are supposed to be protecting and serving, then you don't belong in that job. It's about your judgment. Like, it's not even necessarily just about the fact that you posted some racist stuff, right? That's part of the problem. That's a big part of the problem. But the other part of it, Kawesa, is your judgment. Like, if a person doesn't have the judgment to know that, you know what, maybe I shouldn't be posting this racist stuff about the very people who are paying my salary through their taxes. If the person doesn't have the judgment to know that, then how do they have the judgment to have a badge and a gun and the authority to kill people on the street?
The answer is they don't.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. I mean, it's sheer lunacy is what it is, because, you know, and that's what happens. And the more and more you keep doing it and you don't get caught, you know, you become desensitized to it. And then you are able to go out here and shoot people down. You're able to go out here and kick people while they're on the ground. You're able to go out here and not give people a proper meal, or not give people, you know, toothbrushes and toothpaste. You know, so it's because of the fact that and now they're getting caught. They've been caught, and we can see it. We have the receipts. But I mean, at the end of the day, they do not have that judgment. They don't.
No,
they're gonna sit there and kill us. They will.
It's crazy. It is crazy. And so we got to talk about that. What should happen? What should happen when you have people who are on Facebook, who are in law enforcement, who are calling the people that who they are supposed to be protecting, the people they are responsible for, who are looking at them as something less than human beings? What should happen? I want to know what you think. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. Now, there's one more thing we got to talk about, Kawesa, and it is a serious, serious topic. We got to talk about the fact that you got people out here in the summertime, Kawesa, who think that swimming is the equivalent to take a bath. There's something wrong. All right? Something is rotten in the state of Denmark. Something is going on when you got people out here so nasty that they think that swimming in the summertime, you'd have been sweating, you'd have been doing all kinds. You get in the swimming pool where everybody else got to swim, and you think that's your bath. There's a study out that says half of Americans believe that getting in a swimming pool is the equivalent of taking a bath. Ew.
Yeah, that's gross. No, it's so gross.
Yo!
This has been popping up on social media, and so, you know, I'll just read some of the comments here where people have you know, kind of mentioned it. During the school year, bath equals bath. During the summer, pool equals bath. Lake equals bath. Sprinklers equals bath. Ocean equals bath. Wet wipes and squirt guns equals bath.
That is so nasty. Like, I want to know what you think. Give me a call. Give me a call at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. I actually did see somebody do that when I was going to Temple years ago. The boy was like, yeah, I take a shower today. I got in the pool, right? He was of another persuasion. And black boy was like, oh, that's how you do it, huh? And just walked away. I was like, yo, I want to know what you think. Is swimming the equivalent of taking a bath? I want to know. 215-634 Kawesa says no, not at all. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. I'm Solomon Jones. This is WURD. We'll be right back.
Philly, D.C., and everything in between. Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Breaking down the latest in local and national news. Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. Right here on Word Radio.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. WURD.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by the Ad Council. Jammed up southbound 95 first in the city, bridge down through Girard, then jammed Ridley Park down to south of the Blue Route accident, and they're off to the left northbound side. Watch for slowing from Market Street up to 320. Schuylkill eastbound, Blue Route to the curve, Jam Boulevard to the Vine Expressway, westbound Slovaire to South Jam Boulevard to Belmont, westbound Vine 8th out through Broadigan Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway busy, southbound Boulevard Route 1, Heavy Ridge Avenue, in through the Schuylkill Expressway, 55 north Jam Deptford in the 42, 42 northbound Coles Road to 295, also out of jam now this morning. Okay, Dad, this time to do the Cabbage Patch, the Running Man, or something more contemporary in the floss. That's right, dance like a dad with your kids. Learn more at fatherhood.gov. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Back by popular demand. It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. We got some serious stuff that we have to talk about on today's show, including Trump. Come get your kids. It's time for him to come get your kids. I mean, why are they on the world stage with world leaders? Nobody elected them to anything. Nobody. They aren't qualified to be any kind of ambassador, any kind of diplomat. They've never done any of those things. And so why is Ivanka Trump trying to bust in a conversation with the French president and with the British Prime Minister and with the head of the World Bank? Like, you don't belong there. And when she said something, the woman from the World Bank looked at her. I thought for a minute she was black. She gave it a side eye. I mean, a professional side eye. It really was a very impressive side eye that she gave her, and because she was all of us in that moment. Why are you here? Please shut up. You know, we putting up with the fact that you here, right? But please don't say anything else. Don't say another word. You are not qualified to be in this conversation. Why are you here? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Why is Ivanka Trump here? Maybe you can help me, Valerie. Why is she here?
Maybe she'll help him because she's a female, attractive. I don't know. I don't get it. Listen, nepotism. That's all. That's all.
That's it. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me, Kawesa, because I think it is. Maybe I'm the one who's crazy. But why is Ivanka Trump there? Why is she there?
I mean, why is her father there?
Exactly. Let's start there.
He's not qualified to be there either. So, there's that.
Yeah, there's that. There is that. I want to hear from you. Do you think Donald Trump's kid should be on the world stage with him? Why is Ivanka in the picture when he takes 20 steps into North Korea? Why is she in the conversation with the French president and the British prime minister? Why is she there? Story number 2, 15-year-old American Corey Goff beats Venus Williams at Wimbledon, and really this whole thing goes full circle because Venus Williams, when she was a kid, really opened the door for other black girls to really come in numbers. And of course, Kawesa, you pointed out, and rightly so, that Althea Gibson was there in the 50s as a black woman wrecking shop in the tennis circuit. But it really was the Williams sisters that really kicked down that door and propped it open for other young people to come in. It's ironic that another young black girl beats Venus Williams at Wimbledon.
Yeah, and I think what was also beautiful was the fact that when, she went in for the hug, when I think Coco, I think her name is, when she went in for the hug to, talk to Venus after, she told her, she was like, I look up to you. Like, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. So, I mean, to me, that's a beautiful thing. I can't even imagine, what types of emotions she was going through when that happened. And, she just said she kept crying because, one, you're happy that you won, but also it's like, this is my idol.
Yeah.
This is my idol. And so, I really do think it's a beautiful thing. And, the baton is getting passed. And I just love the fact that Venus and Serena have paved the way for others like them to show up and be on center stage like this.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. And all of the racism that they experienced along the way, all of the negativity, all of the hurt, all of the extra scrutiny, they still giving Serena Williams all of these tests all the time, these drug tests all the time. She's never failed one. But all of those things that they have gone through really paved the way for this young woman. And hopefully she will not have to go through the same thing because they already did it for her. That's story number 2. Story number 3, members of a secret Facebook group for current and former Border Patrol agents joked about the deaths of migrants. We can stop right there. Joked about the people dying, right? Looked at them as less than human. Portrayed Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a member of Congress, engaged in oral sex with a detained migrant. Like, just heinous, reprehensible things. So these are the things that you are thinking. And so what it explains to me is what's happening to those migrants there. That's why they don't have soap and water. That's why they don't have adequate food. That's why there are kids in cages, because you see them as less than human. You think it's a joke when they die. And so when you look at that treatment and then you look at the things that they are saying, I read somewhere that as a man thinks, so is he, right? So if this is what you're thinking, then that's who you are. It's who you are. And so you want them to die. You want to see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as somebody who's not a human being. As somebody who is a sex object and not somebody who should be respected as a member of Congress, right? You see these children as people who should not be taken care of. You don't see them like you see your own children. You don't see them as a fellow human being. You see them as less than that, and you treat them accordingly. See, these Facebook posts explain a whole lot. And people wonder, why did you get out in the street, Solomon? Why did you call the people to protest at police headquarters? Why did you call the people to come to city council? Why did you arrange to meet with the mayor and the police commissioner? Why did you do that? It was just Facebook posts. Well, maybe those Facebook posts explain why you got police officers in Philadelphia shooting people in the back. Maybe those Facebook posts explain why you got black people who just sitting in Starbucks like everybody else getting arrested and taken out in handcuffs. Maybe they explain David Jones. Maybe they explain Brandon Brown. Maybe they explain a whole lot. Because as a man thinks, so is he. And so if you thinking that and posting it on Facebook, then guess what? My life is in danger. Because you've said, you know, I see these people. Every thug deserves a slug. That's what the cops said on Facebook here, right? Death to Islam. So that means that all of these people who you are talking about, you see them as not worthy of your protection or your service. And so our lives are in danger based on the way you think. That's why we got to take to the street. That's why we got to keep pushing this topic. That is why we have to keep talking about it, moving about it, protesting about it, negotiating about it. Whatever we got to do about it, we got to do it to make sure that our people are not in danger. And what this story says to me is that it's not just police departments. It's the Border Patrol. It's the FBI. It's other places where you have law enforcement people who don't see the people they're supposed to be protecting and serving as worthy of anything except insult, as worthy of anything except a bullet, as worthy of anything except abuse. That's why. It's just a Facebook post. No, it's not. That's how you think, and that's who you are. And if you thinking like that, you have put our lives in danger, and you need to be off the street. You need to be out of that job. But not only that, it shows bad judgment. You know, you say that you have all of these things that you have to deal with in a split second. You have to make split-second judgments. You had all day to think about what you was going to put on Facebook. You couldn't even judge that, so you don't need that gig. You need to go someplace else where you don't have to make judgments that could cost people their lives. I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio, and let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about on this morning's show. And, of course, there is one more thing, but we'll get to that after Eric from West Philly. Go ahead, Eric. You're on line one. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. A couple of things. I remember it was the Minister Farrakhan and some other people being banned from Facebook, so you know they monitor these things. So,
right.
What part do Facebook play? I mean, they monitor this stuff, and they allow these hate speeches to go on, so... And then you talk about how can you stop them? Do you sue them? Should it be lawsuits out the wazoo against these people? Because something's not adding up. I mean, to me, it sounds like they're the problem. They allow this stuff to go on.
I think you have a good point.
For real.
I think you have a good point because they banned some people. They banned a guy named Milo Yiannopoulos, right? He's really a white supremacist. He goes around speaking at colleges, etc. Young guy. They banned a bunch of other white supremacists, but then they banned Farrakhan, who, as far as I know, has not called for violence against anybody. Certainly his views are controversial. Certainly I don't agree with everything he says, but he has not called for violence against anybody or anything like that. It was almost like, all right, we done banned all these white supremacists. Now we got to find somebody black to ban too, so it don't look like we just banning white people. I agree with you, Eric. I think that Facebook is part of the problem, quite frankly.
Yeah, that's the way I was looking at it. Mm-hmm. And that's why I was like, the part that we play in everything that goes on in this country is what we see. You was talking about Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
They don't have no fame if we not paying attention to her.
That's true.
They logging on and they buying her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, basically, it always come back to us and what we participate in. That's all I wanted to say.
I hear you. I hear you, man. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. If you want to get in, give us a call at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation. And, of course, there is another serious topic, Kawesa, that we have to address. We got to address this because it's summertime, and you have people who clearly believe that it is okay not to bathe and to get in the pool and to say that was my bath for the day. Apparently, there was a study out that found that 50% of Americans, Kawesa, believe that. What do you make of it?
It's disgusting.
It's disgusting.
It's so disgusting.
It's making me itch.
One of the researchers had said when dirt, sweat, personal care products, and other things on our bodies react with chlorine, there is less chlorine available to kill germs. Rinsing off for just 1 minute removes most of the dirt, sweat, or anything else on your body. So, I mean, they're basically saying, like, everybody's like, oh, yeah, the chlorine's going to kill all the germs. That's what's going to happen. It's not, though, if everybody ain't showering and just jumping in there with their nasty sunscreen and body odor. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It is disgusting, and that's right because you got some folks that got on extra stuff. You got Valerie. I'm trying to be serious about this. What do you think?
That's why I'm getting the pool now. That is
because you know
nasty. Like, first of all, we know who did say this,
Mm-hmm.
and we know who does not participate in this. Okay, that is nasty. That's not a shower. First of all, the water's not even hot. When you clean or wash something, you use hot water. Maybe warm if it helps your body, but cold pool water, no.
I would feel self-conscious even doing it. Like, I don't want to, like, go outside and run to my car if I haven't bathed. For real, I don't, because I don't know who I'm going to see. Last night, I mean, full disclosure, I had to run out to my car, and I had my pajama pants on. I had to do that. And I'm like, it's nighttime. Ain't nobody going to see me. Of course, one of my neighbors sitting on the steps. Like, I'm self-conscious about that. You know what I'm saying? I'm self-conscious. I don't want to do it. You mean to tell me you go all the way to the pool? I don't want to go outside. I want to go on the step. Somebody might walk by like, something don't smell. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to put myself in that position. You going all the way to the pool. You got to travel some distance to get to the pool, and you going to get your funky, nasty behind in the pool talking about that's my bath for the day. Kawesa, something has to be done.
Yeah, it's gross. It's really gross. There was one woman who was like, oh, yeah, well, if that doesn't count as a bath or a shower, then from 1975 to 1980, between the months of May and August, then I didn't shower at all. I'm like, ew.
I know, and you admitting that publicly?
Why would you tell people that? You mean to tell me that for months you didn't months?
No soap?
You didn't put no soap on? You didn't shampoo your hair? Nothing?
Yo, you gotta take that to the grave. That's the kind of stuff. You supposed to take that to the grave. If ain't nobody know you got away with it, you know what I mean? You supposed to take that to the grave. You don't admit that publicly? Valerie, what's wrong with him?
Man, I don't know. I want to know is how do you do it? Like, do they just get in, just sit there? Do they rub their arms under the water, rub their legs? Something like at least make it seem like you wiping something, or do you just marinate, let it sit, soak in it? Like, I need to know.
It's disgusting. And what does the inside of your bathing suit look like?
Oh no!
It's disgusting. You have to bathe. Okay? All right? You have to bathe. This is, come on, man. At some point, I think we got to go on some kind of crusade or something. Let folk know. And you on social media. And again, these people don't need to be cops. Because you're on social media admitting that foolishness. What? Ew.
mean?
It's nasty.
Oh my goodness. No. See, and then you're going to public pools. Like, you're not even like, yeah, this is a private pool. I'm cleaning this myself.
That's what I'm saying.
In here. You're going to public pools where everybody else is probably doing the same thing as you.
Ew. So I just need.
That's why people just put their toes in now.
That's what I'm saying. I just need our people to know that culturally, this is not acceptable in our community. You will not be invited to the cookout if I ever find out. All right, if I ever find out that you've been out here in the pool with everybody else, with my kids, and you know what I'm saying. You know, if I ever find out you've been in the pool and you didn't bathe, you talk about that's your bath, you will never get another invitation to the cookout. Ever. Because that's another summer activity, and I'm sorry you can't be part of that. And so, yeah. But speaking of social media and people saying things on social media, there was something that happened last week, and it happened on Jefferson Street, around Sydenham Street, which is around 15th and Jefferson, where you had hundreds and maybe even 1,000 young people gather and cause some damage to some police cars. And the whole thing started on social media. And so joining us to talk about it is our next guest, Sae Lyon. Sae Lyon is calling, and she's on the line. No, she's not. That is actually State Senator Vincent Hughes. Sae Lyon is going to call us at 8. State Senator Vincent Hughes is on the line right now to talk about what's going on in the Pennsylvania Senate. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Do you have high blood pressure, diabetes, kidney issues, thyroid problems, sleep apnea, cardiovascular disease, tooth problems? All of these issues are related. Slaves were appraised initially by their teeth on the auction block. Having a healthy dental condition usually translates to good overall health. Champion Dentistry wants you to have both. Call Champion Dentistry today, 215-473-4717, and schedule a dental consultation. That's 215-473-4717.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black Media.
Now, a traffic update
on Word Radio.
Good morning. Big Mess southbound 95. This report sponsored by the podcast Monster, the Zodiac Killer. First, you're jammed in Philly from Bridge down through Girard and southbound. You're jammed from 420 to south of the Blue Route. Still an accident being worked on. Restrictions there as a result. Northbound, you're jammed up north of the state line up to the Blue Route. Now the Schuylkill Expressway. That's heavy eastbound Blue Route to the curve. Again, the Boulevard into the Vine. Westbound Baird at the Vine. Again, Montgomery through Girard, you're jammed. Southbound Blue Route, that jams up this morning from Route 1 down to McDade, a bit slow. Northbound side, McDade to Route 1. You're jammed in that stretch. Delays we have 42 northbound. You're jammed Coles Road at 295, 55 northbound. Deptford into 42 heavy.
The idea of committing a crime and then calling up the police and bragging about it, that's a whole nother level of terror.
From the creators of Atlanta Monster comes Season 2. This is Monster, the Zodiac Killer. Listen and follow on the iHeartRadio app.
For more traffic information, log on to signalert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with the Philadelphia area traffic.
Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. And we're joined by our first guest, Pennsylvania State Senator Vincent Hughes. He's Democratic Chairman of the Senate Appropriations Committee. Senator Hughes, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. Yo, man, I caught the last piece of that last story. Whoa.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Chlorine. Thank God for chlorine.
Yeah, thank God for chlorine, but you know what? You still need soap. You do. You do. You need a washcloth. You need soap. You know, like that.
Soap and chlorine are blessings from heaven.
Yes, they are. Amen.
Right?
So speaking of blessings, Cheney got some money from the United Negro College Fund, but they also got some additional money from the state. Cheney, of course, had been struggling. What's going on with it?
Well, it's it was a crazy week last week in Harrisburg. Crazy on the bad side. I'm sure you saw that madness with the Republican senator trying to shout down the Democratic senator who was talking about the general assistance program. And then, but on the good side, as we finished up the budget, state budget in Harrisburg, we were able to almost double the Keystone Honor Scholarship Program that is directed directly at Cheyney University students, for Cheyney University students. The total funds increased from $2.3 million to $3.9, almost $4 million in scholarships for Cheyney University students. And these are for high-performing students, and which is the path that Cheyney has gone down in the last 2 years in their recruitment process, and has been extremely successful, and it's part of the transformation process.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, this is, we're blessed in Pennsylvania. We're having the two oldest, Cheyney and Lincoln.
Yeah.
And we got to treat them like with the cultural importance that they deserve to be treated.
That's right.
And so, we were able to move down that path to get a very dramatic increase down at that level.
Well, that's a good thing. And, Cheyney is a very important institution, not just here in Pennsylvania, but nationally, because of its historical significance. And so we appreciate what happened with that. But tell us about this craziness that happened on the Senate floor around general assistance and this mess. What happened?
Well, let me just finish. I will get to that. Let me just finish up on the Cheyney piece. The other good news is it seems that Cheyney has balanced its budget, which is one of its requirements. First time in a decade. By June 30th, it balanced its budget. And with that, with the influx of new scholarship money, should lend itself for a bright future for the university. So I suggest you bring President Waltman for that, and he can probably go through the details on that. But those are two good pieces, and I don't want to let them lose out in the mix.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you notice there's been fight in terms of keeping the general assistance program ongoing in Pennsylvania. And that serves about 11,000 people, most of them pretty much individuals who can't work, can't do pretty much anything because of their their disability.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are women escaping domestic violence. Some of them are veterans. Some of them are cancer survivors, recovering from addiction, whatever. But they're a very difficult and very challenged population, and it's been the right thing to do to provide them support. The Republicans wanted to get rid of that program and really put a real harm to them. So the Republicans introduced the bill and had it for discussion on the floor of the Senate. We offered up some amendments, one which was to keep the program going for women escaping domestic violence, survivors of domestic violence. I argue that we lost that by 2 votes.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Republicans cut off the debate, and that's where everything started. Republicans cut off the debate. They said, "All right, no more amendments. We're not dealing with any more stuff." Well, that's where all hell broke loose. Long story short, the woman at the Senator Muth, Katie Muth, who I'm sure most folks have seen on television or on social media, she was on Hardball last night with Chris Matthews. She wanted to read into the record the story of John Boyd, who's a gentleman who had been homeless for 25 years, accessed the general assistance program, is in the process of turning his life around. Now, let's be clear, Solomon, that's $200 a month for 6 months. We're not talking about, grand theft money here. We're talking about $200 a month for 6 months, and pretty much the only money he's got. She wanted to read his story into the Senate record so the world would know what his situation is. Well, that's when the Republicans just went off and said, you can't do that. Stop the conversation. Stop the proceedings. The rules of the Senate don't allow you to read your story into the record. And that's where all the heat came up, and that's where it really got very intense. And that's what you saw play out. The Senator Muth, all she wanted to do was to just read the man's story. 3 minutes to read the man's personal story, which is very compelling, into the Senate record so people would know. This is how God works, all right? They wanted to close off the debate. they shut down the debate. They shut down the conversation because they didn't want anybody to hear what we were going to have to say.
Mm-hmm.
By doing wrong, shutting off the debate caused more people to pay attention to this than would have ever occurred if they had just allowed us to offer our amendment.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Almost 4 million views. The video has almost had 4 million views on the internet. And as was reported in all the papers, Chris Matthews, Harbaugh, you and I talking about it. I think the New York Times is getting ready to do a story about it. So, like, when you do wrong, all right, this is what happens.
Yeah.
And they failed miserably in terms of what is it they were trying to accomplish.
Well, we will be following that very carefully because I think that it's important, man. It's important that that we all understand that we are dealing with people's lives, especially those of you who are in the legislature. Everything that you decide on, every penny that you allocate, all of those things, it's about people's lives. And so, if you can't tell the stories of people's lives, why are we doing it?
It's that, and that is the comment that Senator Muth made in the press conference that we had earlier that day. If we're not here to stand up for the least of these, if you will, Solomon, if we're not here to stand up for the least of these, what are we here to do?
Right.
All right. Why are we here in these positions? Okay, when everyone else has got the financial capacity to make it on their own, but it's those who, as we call them, the least of these, those who are living in the margin, homeless individuals, folks who are trying to escape domestic violence and need that $200 just to get out. Okay, and just to provide a way out. We need to be standing for them. They shut off that conversation, and in doing that, they created more of a problem than what they had anticipated. So that's the backstory. And I can't be more proud of Senator Muth. She's just got elected, and she's been in the Senate for about 7 months now, okay? And as you can see from that video, she took on the fire from the Republicans, and she stood tall. All 4 feet 10 inches of her. Okay, she stood tall and withstood the storm, and we stood behind her to making sure that it didn't get too crazy and give her the support that was necessary. So there you go.
All right,
that's
all
Harrisburg,
right,
brother.
All right.
Harrisburg.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, well, keep up the good fight. That's Senator Vincent Hughes. I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on WURD.
Appreciate you, man.
All right. Talk to you soon. So we want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio, and let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about on this morning show. Next up, we're going to be talking with Say Lyon. She's discussing the role of social media in 1,000 kids going off in North Philly last week, and just destroying police cars and some other stuff. Social media, double-edged sword. We're going to talk with her about it. But also, I'm just going to make a declaration here. Trump need to get his kids. Please come and get your kids. Why is Ivanka all up in conversations with the French president, the British prime minister? Why are you even there? What is your job? Like, why are you in here? That's how they were looking at her. And, that's how you look at people when they just bust in the conversation. You're like, yo, where you come from? Valerie, is it me?
No, it's like, girl, go home. Like, I know that's the face. It's like, why are you here?
Yep.
Like Oasis said, what is her father doing there anyway? It's none of them are wanted. Your presence will definitely, it won't be missed. We don't need it.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we're talking about that, but also it is summertime, and there is a survey that is out that says that there are folk who in the summertime believe that a dip in the pool is equivalent to a bath. I want to know if you share that belief. Give me a call, 215-634-ILL, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. What's the percentage, Kuwaisa? What they say in the study?
51%.
51%.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of y'all nasty.
A lot of people.
A lot of nasty people.
That's what I'm saying. 51% of Americans believe Is that what this survey said? And it's the CDC that did it?
I believe so. Oh, yeah, Centers for Disease Control. Yep.
And that's what this is about, disease control.
Oh, and
y'all
Hot
need
Tub
to bathe.
Alliance. Yeah, they do. Hot Tub Alliance. Ew, that's even worse. Sorry. Y'all getting in hot tubs.
Getting in hot tubs without bathing, so the bacteria and the germs and the funk just percolating, just cooking. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. Is getting in a pool, is it the same thing as taking a bath in the summertime? I want to know what you think. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. Does chlorine kill everything that it needs to kill? Does it clean you? And if it does, since the pool is just like one big bath, where does the dirt go? All right, that's what I want to know. Where does the dirt go? Is it just like floating on the surface? Does it form a thin film on top of the pool?
But do they really acknowledge it like a bath? Like, you know, you get out the bath, you dry off. Oh, gotta moisturize, put some deodorant on,
I know,
get
like,
dressed. Like, do you do it by the pool? Do you go back to the room? Like, I don't. Oh my gosh.
How does it work? I need to know the details. So I need somebody who does that to give us a call and let me know exactly how this thing works. So maybe you could make me feel a little bit better about it. But as it is right now, I don't. I'm feeling very hesitant to get in pools right now because of that 51%. So I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065 on the other side. Vincent Thompson has news, and then we're going to talk with Say Lyon discussing the role of social media in about 1,000 kids in North Philly going off last week. I want to know what you think about that as well. I'm Solomon Jones. This is WURD. We'll be right back.
Listen to Word Radio on the go with the Word Radio app. Search for WURD in your favorite app store today and take us with you wherever you go. Stay connected to Word Radio, independent Black media.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and catch the bus. Text and miss your stop. Wait. Text and be late to work.
Sorry, I'm late.
Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working.
Who, me?
Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi. Oh, hey.
Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Drive in
with Solomon Jones.
Drive home
with Charles Ellison.
This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Philadelphia, independent Black media. Word Radio News Update
with Vincent Thompson.
Good morning. Here's the latest from the Word Radio Newsroom, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. One man is dead and another is injured after a double shooting in Philadelphia last night. It happened around 9:35 p.m. along the 5400 block of Delancey Street. People say the 27-year-old man was killed in the shootout. The second victim, a 50-year-old man, was also shot. He is listed in critical condition at an area hospital at last report. Police say the shooting may have been sparked after an altercation involving kids on the block. The victim has not been identified. No arrests have been made. Anyone with any information is asked to call police at 215-686-TIPS. As of July 1st, 164 people have been murdered in Philadelphia this year, a 9% increase compared to this same time last year. Muslim leaders are calling for sanctions against Philadelphia police officers for allegedly racist comments and terroristic threats made on Facebook. 72 police officers have been pulled off the street and placed on desk duty in response to the allegation as the investigation continues. And Philadelphia's Welcome America activities continue today. Free admission to the National Constitution Center from 9:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. and the African American Museum in Philadelphia from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And Grammy Award-winning singer Patti LaBelle will be honored from 4 to 5 p.m. with the ceremonial renaming of Broad Street between Spruce and Locust Streets to Patti LaBelle Way. The ceremony will start at 4 p.m. in front of the Kimmel Center for the Performing Arts at Broad and Spruce Streets. Philadelphia's second summer heat wave starts today and lasts through Thursday. Today's forecast will be sunny. Humidity will rise, especially during the afternoon. The high temperature will be 92 degrees. A late thunderstorm is possible. A complete list of all Welcome America events for today is on Word Radio's Facebook page. Welcome America ends on July 4th. Checking sports, day 2 of the Wimbledon Tennis Championships continue in England today. Serena Williams plays her first-round match this afternoon. The sports world is still talking about how 15-year-old African-American Corey Coco Gauff defeated one of her idols, 5-time Wimbledon champion Venus Williams, in a first-round match yesterday. Gauff is the youngest competitor ever to qualify at Wimbledon, and she ranked the 313th best player in the world. Venus Williams is ranked 44th in the world. It was Gauff's first match at Wimbledon. Her second-round match will be on Wednesday. Also, two-time champion Naomi Osaka, who was number 1 female player in the world until last week, lost her match. Vincent Thompson, Word Radio News.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. And I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. Last week, there was an incident in North Philly around Sydenham and Jefferson. That's around like 15th and Jefferson, right off of Temple's campus, where you had anywhere between 800 and 1,000 teens and young adults gather there for a free party. Things got out of hand. A lot of it started, though, with a Facebook post. And here to talk about it is a young lady, Say Lyon, to talk about how social media is involved in these kinds of things and how it can change things instantly. Say, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Valerie's over here smiling because she's the one who got you to call.
I'm so
So, social media. So this whole thing started with an Instagram post, apparently. How does social media play into these kinds of incidents happening?
I feel like, especially with high school students and just with teens, like they rely a lot on social media for communication and for like moves, basically, to find things to do. So, like, this incident just seemed like it had a really negative effect because no one knew where they were going. It was just a free party, and everyone was so hyped to just show up. And I feel like that could be really negative because you never know what you could be showing up to, especially the time we live in. Like, what if the police came in and it turned into something very, like, volatile? Like, you have to be careful.
So this was an Instagram post, right?
Yeah.
So Instagram, you can't, like, share Instagram posts. I guess you can do a rebrand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So would this have had to be somebody with like a whole lot of followers? I'm just trying to figure out how, because Instagram doesn't necessarily work like Facebook's where you can instantly share stuff. It doesn't necessarily work like Twitter where you can instantly retweet or whatever. So how does an Instagram post turn into something where 1,000 people just show up?
Well, even if you don't have a lot of followers, I feel like if someone has like 500 followers, if
right.
like 10 people see that, they can repost that on their page, and like it just turns into like a train effect where like so many people are reposting it, because you can repost anyone's post. Someone who's following someone can repost it, and they have like 10,000 followers or 3,000 followers. Because kids nowadays have a lot of followers on Instagram, like they want clout. So I feel like you don't even. It could have been someone who didn't have that many followers, but that's how it works basically. because you don't have to have like a great amount of followers for it to be reposted or for a lot of people to see it. If you're putting it up there, it's already out, so anyone could see that and send it to their friend through text or even like off of social media.
And so, in terms of like young people looking for stuff to do, how heavily do they depend on like Instagram, social media? Like, man, I ain't got nothing to do. Like, if we ain't had nothing to do, we just ain't had nothing to do, right? Because there was no way to really communicate what was going on in other places. But from what you're saying, it sounds like young people really depend on social media to find places to go, things to do.
Definitely. I feel like they do depend on it because I feel like people are like, oh, let me get on Instagram, click out, let me go on Twitter, let's see who haven't did, like, you know. And, like, to the point where people, like, when you're bored, they're just on Instagram just scrolling, like. But for me personally, like, I didn't have an Instagram until just recently. But it's like people used to be like, oh, my gosh, like, what do? You don't have an Instagram. It's like, I feel like that's just sad because social media is just, like, there's other things to do in life. Like, people, like, the youth of today have become so dependent on social media. Like, they feel, like, numb if they're not on Instagram or if they're not on Twitter. And I feel like that's not good.
So why did you take so long to get on Instagram?
Well, I used to have an Instagram when I was in ninth grade, like high school. But then, like, my mom and, like, dad made me delete it. So I was just off that door for a little bit.
Yeah. And you didn't sneak back on like my kids?
No, because I just got so used to not having one. And I was just like, oh, my gosh, like, everyone has one. I wanted to be exclusive, you know. I didn't want people to be able to find me.
And so, I mean, there's good things about social media, I guess. And so like, what are some of the pluses of like a medium like Instagram? Because it seems to me like Instagram, that's where a lot of young people are. I mean, I'm on Instagram. Don't really understand it. I gotta be honest. They laughing at me in the studio, but I don't. Young people seem to be on Instagram a lot. What's so attractive about it?
I feel like it could be a good way for networking, like how I see it as networking. But I feel like younger people, like high school students and things like that, might see it as a medium for like having clout or just being known, like just flexing, like, you know, flexing on Instagram. But I feel like Instagram could be good to network, you know, and like not meet people, but like build your brand if you have a brand or if you have anything like that to build it up. And just, I just feel like really networking. I don't see any other great benefit of like having an Instagram besides that.
So when you talk about building your clout through Instagram, like how does Instagram give you clout?
I feel like it could give someone clout, like if you're flexing, you take nice pictures, like you're just nice, like, you know, like post pictures, you have many likes, because that's what they define clout as by Instagram. Not just me, but just society, like in society today, like having a lot of followers and like having two pictures up and having a lot of likes, like that's what like makes you, oh, you're popping on Instagram or something. People want to follow you. And then it's like Instagram could be a way to get money too, because the more likes you get, like if you become Instagram famous and you have a lot of likes, like those, like Instagram sponsors, you get paid for them. So a lot of people like Instagram for that as well.
We're talking with Sadie Lyon about an incident that happened very recently where you had about 1,000 teens gather for a free party in North Philly, and the whole thing turned into mayhem. 4 cop cars were damaged as a part of that. So how do you avoid getting involved in something like that? Like you just go and you think it's a free party, you think it's something it's going to be, you know, great. How do you avoid that?
I think that you should just stay off the mix. Like, if someone says free party, like, you don't know what you're showing up to. And especially, like, this is Philadelphia. Like, people know, like, a lot, especially in the summertime, a lot of bad things happen. People get shot, straight bullets, like, things like that. Like, you need to be careful. Like, you never know what you're showing up to. Like, that's not just, you can't just go somewhere that you see online that says free party. Like, what if that was somebody, like, setting you up to do, like, harm you or anything like that? Like, you just have to really be careful. And it's like, they just have to understand, like, social media is just not that deep. Like, it's okay to just stay home sometimes, because what if the police came and they was, like, shooting kids or, like, just doing anything where people, like, it was the worst situation. So I feel like just, like, don't go anywhere if it's just advertised on social media, if you don't know the people who are having it, or like, or if you have no relation to that, because it could be very dangerous.
All right. Well, say, I want to thank you for joining us and just breaking some of that down for us, especially for me. All right, because they looking at me like you old Solomon. That's why you don't understand. But that's all right. I'm trying to understand. All right. So say, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on WURD.
You're welcome. Follow me on Instagram, Say Line Official.
See, that's what I'm saying. She trying to get clout. What is it? Say it again. What's your Instagram?
It's Sayeelyon Official. SAEYEELYON Official.
Okay. SAEEYEELYON Official.
Yeah.
Right, because it's a Sayeelyon unofficial, and we don't want to follow that one.
Period.
All right. I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on WURD. We appreciate you. All right, so we got some folks calling in. If you want to call in, we want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. Queen Yazzie is on line one. Go ahead, Queen Yazzie.
Hey, y'all, what's good? So,
what's good?
Everything. Great rising. So definitely wanted to build on and just, piggyback off of, I guess I'll touch on the young children with the police car situation and all of them kind of connecting through Instagram. I'm all for revolution, whatever, how you see it. But in those cases, that is dangerous. So how do we use Instagram to be revolutionary as 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds? I do believe in, the Martin way as far as, powerful and silent protests, if that's something that the children felt in their heart that they wanted to do, as far as sending a message to the police or however you feel, you know what I mean? But it cannot be where it cannot be any danger happening in the midst of it and you being reckless and putting your life in danger in those cases. But Instagram itself is a tool.
Okay.
And it depends on how you use a tool. And so we do have, me being an after-school program director in the past at Bartram High School and being in the midst of children who constantly are scrolling, we have social media guidance should be taught in school because this is the future of our children.
That's a good point. That you have to have some kind of guidance around it, because if you don't, you just you scrolling, you might come across anything that could be dangerous to you as a child.
And YouTube was a whole big thing.
Right.
Parents had, when YouTube came out, you had to monitor what your children were watching on YouTube, Adult Swim, and via those things, anything media related, it just needs guidance. It needs control. And then on top of that, you have to tell your children whatever you put in social media has energy.
Right.
Be positive on social media. Whatever you want to, your dreams and goals should be on Instagram because that's where you want to build your business. But, yep, I want to hear everybody else as well. Thank you so much, Solomon.
Thank you. Thank you, Queen Yazzie. We appreciate you, and thank you so much for calling in this morning on WURD Radio. Instagram, Valerie, she said it's a tool, and I think that she's right, but it is. It depends on how you use it.
That's a fact, because actually it can be a tool. For some people, it is just for fun, and they know how to use it for that. For a lot of people who make their living off of it, it does become a tool because, as he said, that is a way to network and find different business ventures, because you can link your Instagram to different business accounts like Shopify if you're selling clothes. Eventually, when you get enough likes and everything, you do get Instagram sponsors, so you start to profit and get money from it. Then some people just make Finstas, which is a private account that they basically just do foolish stuff on. And sometimes, the people whose Finstas I follow, which is fake Instagram, they do silly stuff, but I know some people who probably do go a little bit extreme and left with theirs, but the only way you would know is if you ask them to follow them. You need their approval to do it.
Okay.
And that's where it's like, okay, so it can go left or it could go right. It's a lot of people I think the thing about Instagram, though, is that you have a little bit more control over how things get posted and reposted, because you can kind of take it down a little quicker without people having access to it again. It's almost like Snapchat, whereas with Facebook, a lot of stuff, once it's there, it's really there. Like you said, it's archived. Whereas with Instagram, a person would have to archive it themselves, but you could also keep track of who archives it. But once you take it down, it's still no longer there. It's tricky, but it depends on the person. You really have to be aware of what it is that you're doing and what your intentions are.
Okay. Now, how does regram work? Because don't you have to have like an app in order to then repost something somebody has on Instagram? Like, it's not within the Instagram app itself that you can repost stuff.
No, you can. It's almost like a tag. So if you get added, you can repost that. It'll come into your DM basically, and you can add that to your story. It actually automatically.
DM for those who are my age and older, it means direct message.
Yes.
Please go on. See, I knew that. Go on.
See that. And it actually automatically asks you, like, do you want to add this to your story right in the direct messages, and you could go from there. Or what some people do is they may screenshot it, or you could easily just send it to people and like directly message them. No one has to even be tagged or added. You could just send it to anybody in your messages. But the thing is, the person who posted it, they see all of that. So if you tag my stuff or archive any of my pictures or photos, my photos, videos, anything, I can see that. If you send it to somebody, I can see that too.
But not if you screenshot it.
No, but I know if you screenshot in the direct messages. But that's the thing about Snapchat. On the other hand, if you screenshot something on Snapchat, that person does get notified.
Okay, so this explains like how this stuff can suddenly go viral, because there's so many different ways to share the information. And so I guess that explains why you have, even if somebody had just a few followers, because it's not like all of your followers are on there and they're going to see all your stuff at one time. They're not. But if it becomes something that's hot and other people start sharing it, then that's how it can become either something that's negative or something that's positive. And in this case, it went negative. Let's go back to the phone lines. Let's talk to Falami from South Philly on line 1. Go ahead.
Peace, my word family.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fine. I'm doing good. I went to Atiola's yesterday. They had a commemoration for our elders. There were our African-American sisters there between the ages of 90 and 103 years old.
Okay.
And they were shown props and everything, so I feel wonderful. We sang songs to them. I did a poem. Another sister that was 90 years old, she stood up and sang like Marian Anderson. It was really beautiful, and it was in reference to the summer solstice, the solar eclipse that's going to take place today at 3 o'clock, and a lot of energy that's going to be coming through the way the planets and everything align up. I know I'm sounding like Helena now, but the planets going to be lined up like this, and they're not going to be lined up again like this during that solar eclipse for another 200 years. I called to say about our youth. I used to teach as well as do other things, and our youth, when they're doing this Instagram thing and they're doing this social media thing, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I had to institute it in the classroom, not Instagram, but show them how to be tech savvy. And if I didn't know, bring in somebody to help me, because I'm technologically challenged, but I had to learn some things. But our youth are lonely. Our youth do not have a lot of social activity. They don't have a lot of things like when I was coming up, like model cities, and my brothers were in the summer youth program, and they stay outside their houses sitting on their steps, even when they're home. They don't go in their houses. That's why some, unfortunately, are being shot or whatever, even 1, 2, 3 o'clock at night. I live in Graves Ferry section, but I travel all over the city, and I'm saying that that's why our youth are unable, some of them, not all, they are unable to, emotional literacy. It should be taught in school. It should be a curriculum. They're not able to relate because they're living inside of these machines. Ever since they were babies, they start to live inside these machines.
And when you talk about living inside a machine, you talking about the phone?
No, I'm talking about the phones. I'm talking about social media. I'm talking about Facebook. I'm talking about getting together with people like people used to, even adults, and talking face to face.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think that's something that we all need to do. You're right. So I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. We're going to go to break, and on the other side, we're going to continue to take your calls at 215-634-8065. This hour is brought to you by Power. Philadelphians organized to witness, empower, and rebuild. For more information, visit powerinterfaith.org. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Brothers and sisters!
Don't miss The Source
Weekdays 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
on Word Radio.
WordRadio.com and the Word Radio app.
Listen live at wordradio.com. This is the Moravia Health Home Care Tip. The bond between a patient and their caregiver is very important. Empathy and attentiveness are crucial to fostering a trusting relationship with your loved one. When selecting a home care aide for your loved one to help with daily tasks such as cooking, cleaning, and companionship, inquire as to why the candidate chose caregiving as a profession. The right caregiver will have a good mix of professionalism and a nurturing, caring nature. Many families do not know, but the law now allows for a family member to be a paid home care worker. With training through Moravia Health, caring for your loved one directly just became easier. Moravia Health is dedicated to delivering quality care to patients in the comfort of their home. For more information about Moravia Health, call 215-717-8650. That's 215-717-8650. Or visit moraviahealth.com. Moravia Health, because there's no place like home. Now, a traffic update
on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Stand Up to Cancer. You're jammed up southbound 95 this morning. Jammed first approaching bridge down through Girard. Again, approaching 420 to south of the Blue Route. Still an accident there. Northbound side, that is a jam from north of the state line up to the Blue Route. That accident on the southbound side, also disabled vehicle being cleared on the northbound side out right near the Blue Route. Schuylkill Expressway, both ways, busy east to westbound. Westbound Vine, generally busy 8th Street out through the Schuylkill. Eastbound Schuylkill through Broad Street, you're slow. Delays we have on the Blue Route 476 southbound Germantown Pike through the Schuylkill. Again, Broomall down to Route 1 now with an accident. Northbound jam McDade up to Route 142 northbound. Your jam 168 through 295.
I'm Tony Goldwyn. 20 years ago, when my mom had lung cancer, she didn't have many choices. But today you do. If you've been diagnosed with lung cancer, please visit standuptocancer.org/lung cancer to learn more.
For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're waking up
with Word.
Hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. And we're taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation. We're talking about social media and its role in a melee that took place last week around Jefferson and Sydenham. That's around 15th and Jefferson in North Philly, where apparently it started with an Instagram post about a free party, and about 800 to 1,000 kids showed up. The cops showed up. The kids damaged about 4 police cars, and fortunately nobody was hurt because it could have really went a different way. But the role of social media in that, and how we deal with that, we've been talking about it this morning with some of our young folk, and it's a double-edged sword, Valerie. It really is. It's something. It could be a great thing, but it can also be something that can go terribly wrong.
Yeah, I think in this instance, it wasn't anything that was. They weren't hoping for the worst when they sent out the mass post of free party. It's just that when you think of free, it's just okay. Like, I think anybody will go for something that's free.
Our folks show up for free.
It's not like it was like BYOB or you got to have a friend or anything. There weren't any terms to it. So it's just basically just show up.
Yeah.
It's a party. You probably assume that it's going to be food or drinks, or you just know it's going to be people there. It's something to do. It's the summertime. But, I mean, that's a lot of people, 800 to 1,000.
That's a lot.
And I'm sure it didn't necessarily come from one person with a lot of followers. It was just reposted by a friend who knew a friend and sent out. Because, you know, not even aside from social media, you have messages. You could text it to people. So it just adds on and it builds from that. And you don't really know people's ulterior motives. You don't know what they intended. But that's kind of what comes with it. You didn't put any details. Social media is just quick. A 2-worded post, and it ended up with 800 to 1,000 people. Yeah. That's power in itself.
That is power. That is power. And power has to be used correctly, you know, and I think that as older people, and I know it's older people like, why y'all talk about Instagram? Because y'all need to know. That's why. You need to know, and you need to understand how it works, so that you can better monitor what the young people who you're responsible for are doing. If you don't know how it works, how you gonna monitor it? How you going to advise it, right? How are you going to help to keep those young people safe if you don't even know how it works? That's why. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. Red Fox from West Philly is on line 1. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Solomon, and good morning, Mr. Clayson.
How you doing?
Okay.
Good, good. What's your comment?
Well, looking back to the past, I did demonstrations over the phone, and I was one of the thousands of people that walked out against the school board years ago. And this was during the Rizzo administration. But we did a rallying at each school. We galvanized our people, and we walked right to the school board. But we knew ahead of time what we were after, you know, as far as the education in school, to be young citizens, really. That was, for the most part, to wear our hair and bushes and things like that. So we had an agenda at first, you know, and we used the phones later after we got home, after our daily work. And we were out 16 weeks. You know,
wow.
Took the school board by storm.
Mm-hmm.
Again, with the MOVE demonstration with Mona Africa and the MOVE members, right, we rallied again and came down. Mona Africa came down Broad Street, and I brought the people down from West Philadelphia. Well, we knew what we wanted to do when we got to City Hall. And the police were there. We blocked off police for the first time in history. City Hall was shut down that day. You know, we shut it down. And we meant to do that. You know, that's power to people. Now, when you look at social media, things are doing, we got a lot of people that, because my grandkids are on social media, they do everything off of it.
Uh-huh.
I think they miss the galvanizing of what you're supposed to do. Who's going to
Okay. I see. So you're talking about how you know, you were able to galvanize people on a personal level, whereas social media allows people to galvanize and gather on a an internet level.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you're saying that they missed that by just doing it online and on social media. They missed that personal interaction like what you had when you shut down City Hall.
There you go.
Okay. I hear you, and I want to thank you for making that point. I think it's a good point. But I think that what we saw with this, Kawesa, with somebody putting something on Instagram and then everybody showing up, you saw how this can lead to both people gathering online and then people gathering in real life. It can lead to both.
Yeah, it definitely can. I think that it's two-sided, right? Because I definitely understand what Red Fox was saying in regards to you kind of miss out on that that personal interaction, but at the same time I just like what Valerie was saying, social media can be used as a tool as well, and so there are definite benefits to being able to utilize social media for certain things, and so I think that it really does speak to the power of what's going on when you can just send out one post and then 1,000 people show up. So I can see both sides of it, and I think that for me, because I'm on the cusp, right? So I know what it's like to not have social media, and I know what it's like to have it, and I've been able to kind of be fluid in both languages.
Sure.
But there are also parts of me that are like, I kind of miss the old days too, which is crazy because I'm in my early 30s, but I think that there's definitely, I see both benefits. I do.
Yeah. I see the benefit, but I also see that it can be something that can be harmful. One thing that's interesting, man, about phones, these phones that we carry are mini computers. That's what they are, and they have all kinds of data in these phones. They have our data in these phones. So if you can get into somebody's phone, you can find out everything about them, right? Many of us access our bank accounts through our phones. Many of us have every single contact of every person that we've ever known in our phones. When I was coming up, you had to know numbers, people's phone numbers. You knew them in your head because you dialed them manually. But now you can, you might say, call, in my case, I'll say call the wife, right? And my phone knows that's Mrs. Levita Jones, right? I'll say call my son, and they know, my phone knows that's, call Solomon Jones, or you look up all kinds of information on your phone. So everything that you're interested in, if I can get a hold of your phone, I know everything you're interested in because I just need to see what you're searching for on Google. All I had to look at is what apps you have on your phone. I can look through your contacts and see, okay, these are the kind of people that this person contacts. But you don't know this information in your head anymore because all of it is in your phone. All you got to do is press a button, right? And so I feel like we have become very dependent on these phones to the point where it's almost like an addiction. I remember when BlackBerries were out, right? I had a BlackBerry, right? So you laughing like dang, man, you old, how you had a BlackBerry? Like, what I'm saying? Yeah, I had a BlackBerry. And BlackBerries, when they were out, this is, the precursor of the iPhone, they called them crackberries because they were like, you could not put them down. Because it was just amazing that you could go through this thing. You can go online, and you can go on Twitter, and you could go on Facebook, and you could do all of this stuff. And I remember my daughter was like, I don't know, she might have been 6 or 7 years old. She was like, it's like your electronic wife. And I'm like, but that's how they are. That's how these phones are. And I wonder if Valerie, it's even more prevalent now.
Absolutely. At this point, I don't even see the point in most laptops or computers because phones are getting bigger, iPads are getting smaller, laptops are getting smaller. So the phone is just slowly transforming into a computer that you just carry around. That's what it really is. It's just getting bigger now. I don't know. And I don't think it's really a way to kind of go backwards from that. because it's just evolution. This technology is innovative, so it's just going to keep growing from there. And it's a little dangerous because a lot of people don't really know what to do with it. Even like younger kids. If I'm not mistaken, on average, kids my age, like college kids, spend over like 10 hours a day on social media. Even more on our phones in general, but specifically on social media.
Right.
So kids even younger than us spend more hours. And it's just going to get to the point to where people probably are going to spend almost 20 hours on social media and on their phones. And it starts to take away from actual personal face-to-face human interaction, which I think will start to affect people's personal skills and social skills. People just have to find a balance to at least entertain yourself with your phone socially, but then also be able to do it face to face and in person.
And that's the thing. That's the thing that I think is dangerous. That it makes you, after a while, you become weird. Because, you know what I'm saying? Like, after a while, you're just a weirdo because you don't know how to relate to real people. I can talk to you on social. It's like the person in the office, right? That you 10 feet away and they like send it to me in an email. Dude, you're right there. Like, what's wrong with you? But there's people like that. And it's the same thing, Kuwaisa, with social media, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think that, for me, and I do try to have, some type of balance. And it is really scary because, a lot of time, and they did a whole study and they said, oh, your phone's not really listening to you. But it is listening to you. Like, I remember, talking with a friend of mine. I didn't look it up on my phone, and it was for a specific cafe spot. And then all of a sudden on Facebook, I'm starting to see these ads for this cafe spot. If you think about it, your phone is always listening to you. Every single time you say, hey, Siri, it's listening to you. So it has to keep listening to know that you're saying that or not.
Yeah.
So, I think about all of those types of things. I try to make sure that I'm not, making everything that I can get into with my thumbprint. Don't do that. There's certain things that you can do to make sure that you kind of safeguard yourself in relation to social media, in relation to your phone. And, it has made us lazy, I think, in a sense, like, when I'm trying to remember how to spell a word, I'm a really good speller. But then sometimes I'm like, ooh, unnecessary. How do I spell unnecessary? And I have to wait for my autocorrect to pop up. But if you would ask me maybe 5 years ago, I'd be like, oh, that's how to spell it. I know how to spell it.
Well, let me tell you this. Autocorrect is the devil. Let's start there. Satan does his best work with autocorrect. Because you write stuff and, you're writing real fast. With your thumbs or whatever on your phone, and you just send it, and you look, and it says something completely different because autocorrect has made a spelling correction on this text message that you sent, Valerie.
It's that, or it gets you caught up because you might have a word that you actually spell a certain way, and it starts to save into your phone because you use it so much, and then one day you typing away, texting away to a certain person, and it just sends that word that you did not mean to send.
That's right.
Like, it autocorrect. You're right. It is the devil. And also about the mic and the phone listening to you, that happens because of the apps. Almost everybody has some form of social media app. So if you have a Facebook app, you can post videos, and because of those videos, it needs your audio. And most people don't turn the microphone off once they leave the app. So your microphone is still considered on, unless you change your setting to either turn it off or to only be on when you're using that app. But for the most part, everybody's microphone is just on throughout time, like all the time, especially if you have a bunch of apps that record.
Now you're scaring me. Okay, so 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. We're talking about social media because there was an incident where you had 800 to 1,000 kids show up at Sydenham and Jefferson, and it was for a free party. And it became a melee. It became mayhem because the cops came, 4 police cars were damaged, and thank God nobody was hurt because it really could have gone much differently. But the whole thing started with a single Instagram post, free party. Right? And so we spend so much time on social media. Our young people spend so much time on social media and depend on it so heavily, not only for information and for places to go, but for entertainment. But also, Valerie, one of the things that really has to be addressed, in my view, is that you can't get all of your news from social media. Like, that just cannot happen. And I think that's part of what happened in the 2016 campaign, where you had people believing that the accounts that they were seeing on social media were really other black folk, when really it was Vladimir in Moscow manipulating the black vote. A Blacktivist was a whole account on Instagram, right, that was supposed to be like these activist black people, but really it was Russians. I mean, and you had our young folk following that and believing that, and they were telling them, don't vote, you shouldn't vote, Hillary Clinton is this, and Donald Trump is... Matter of fact, just don't vote at all. That's how you show your disdain for the system. And the whole time, Valerie, it was Russians.
That makes a lot of sense, honestly, because it goes even back to the Facebook post that we were mentioning earlier. And I said it's your social media starts to become your reality. No one really starts to inquire anything outside of that. So if I see something on Instagram, okay, I can just click on one of the tags, one of the hashtags, and find more information. But it's all only information from Instagram. It's not from real news anchors or any type of reports. It's just Instagram posts that somebody has reposted and maybe put a little edit to it, maybe change the headline or the tag to it, but it isn't anything necessarily fact-based, which is extremely dangerous. And I don't think a lot of people are aware of that and how it really impacts people, because a lot of people, that is their source of news.
Exactly.
The Shade Room, that's how a lot of people get their information, through social media, specifically Instagram. The Shade Room, it doesn't matter if it's fact-based or not. If they post it, you're scrolling through, reading comments, and that's your news for the day. Not NBC, CBS, none of them.
Yeah, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you like, but you also need to be looking at some legitimate news sources and taking that extra step to figure out what's true, what's not. And we don't do that, and that's why I believe we were so easily manipulated in 2016, and the same thing could happen now. This hour is brought to you by Power. Philadelphians organized to witness, empower, and rebuild. For more information, visit powerinterfaith.org. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Listen to Word Radio on the go with the Word Radio app. Search for WURD in your favorite app store today and take us with you wherever you go. Stay connected to Word Radio, independent black media.
Support independent black media and join the Forward movement now at 215-425-7875
or visit wordradio.com.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. And I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. We are taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation. We're talking our top stories, which are story number one, Trump, come get your kids. That's right. Traveling with her father in Asia, Ivanka Trump embarrassed herself and really the rest of us, trying to act like a diplomat, busting in conversations with the president of France, the British prime minister, and the head of the International Bank. Girl, if you don't sit down somewhere. Plus, Donald Trump Jr. Sending out tweets that were made by people on the alt-right talking about Kamala Harris and her ethnic background. White people saying she's not black enough. Do you trust that? I know I don't. And so I believe Donald Trump needs to come get his kids. Story number two, she wasn't even born by the time Venus Williams had won 4 Grand Slams, but she beat Venus Williams at Wimbledon. Her name is Corey Goff, and she said that Venus is her idol, and as well she should be, because Venus kicked open the door for her sister Serena and for many others. Of course, as Kawesa pointed out earlier, there was Althea Gibson in the 50s, who I'm sure faced all kinds of stuff. Lord have mercy, in a period of virulent racism in the United States. And so you have now this young girl who stands on the shoulders of people like Althea Gibson and Venus Williams and Serena Williams, Corey Goff, this young woman of color, this black, young, beautiful woman who now comes and takes the mantle, takes the baton. I think it's a beautiful thing, Kawesa. It makes me smile just to think about it.
It does. It really makes me smile just to think about it. And I just when I look at people like Althea Gibson and Serena and Venus, it almost makes my heart swell. Like I was watching, and I think that she was on it the other day, and I kind of saw a little bit of Corey playing, and I just was. It made me feel good. I was proud. I was proud to see that, there's levels to this, and that, we keep going and we keep pursuing, and, we are unstoppable. And I think that's what is really more awe-inspiring to me, because of the fact that, even though they were facing a lot of adversity, they just kept going. And that really, to me, is the true legacy of Venus and Serena and Althea. And now you have, Osaka and Corey. So I think that it's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And so we are, of course, talking about that. And we are talking about another Facebook racism scandal with another law enforcement agency, the Border Patrol. And when I read this story, it really made me think about why we actually took to the street, why we started the Rally for Justice Coalition, why we brought together so many different entities in order to fight against racism in the Philadelphia Police Department, why we went to the Roundhouse Police Headquarters and confronted it directly and said, we want these people off the street who have said that they hate us, who have said that they don't respect us, who have laughed at the deaths of black people at the hands of police. We need them off the street, because as a man thinks, so is he. So if you're putting this stuff on Facebook and you're bold enough to do that, that explains why black people are dying at your hands. That explains why, in the case of the Border Patrol, you have kids who are dirty, kids who are unfed, kids who are not cared for, migrants dying in their care. It explains a whole lot. And so I want to know what you think should be done about it. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. Plus, we are also talking about social media and its role in our lives now. Some of the negative things that happen, like the melee that happened at Sydenham and Jefferson just a few days ago, with about 1,000 young people showing up because somebody put free party on Instagram. Do you understand how Instagram works? Do you understand social media? Can you monitor it for your children if you don't understand it? Right? And so I want to talk about that. I want to know what you think. Give me a call. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation. Let's go to the phone lines and talk to Dave from Northern Liberties. Good morning.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. Boy, you got a action-packed platform
Thank
today.
you. Thank you.
Hey, you know, these kids, due to people like our city council and our black representatives, were initially years ago called flash mobs whenever they decided to get in numbers and do nothing but, since they didn't have any set program, walk around the street like on South Street, which they should be able to do, and a lot of these other streets, 11th and Market, 12th and Market. The only thing that they have available down them around that way is the criminal justice system. You know what I'm saying, the court system. Otherwise, city council helped them take that gallery away, which that was also another social venue. All these years that we have built up, where the underprivileged, the poorer people, the middle class had Market Street, Chestnut Street, and part of Walnut Street, that they could go from end to end without any problem, without anybody, even taking a glance at them. And we as black people stopped this situation. Now we got it where these same young kids can't even go outside of their own neighborhood. And the summer hasn't really even started yet to what all the problems this is going to cause, because we're going to really be in a police state, and a lot more people are going to get hurt intentionally and unintentionally on both sides. And this should never be, especially when people are, so afraid to even walk out of their own front door under normal conditions. Now, in this swimming pool situation, when we were coming up, they had a shower and everything.
Yeah.
It was mandatory that you took a shower before that you went into the pool.
Yep.
Right on the other side of Sharon Hill is a pool that's still open. I think the town is called Horsham. I'm not sure. But anyway, the pool is only a mile or so away from Sharon Hill. And then they had a big race riot down there because black people wanted to share that pool. And it's been at Case Kelly Pool right next to Memorial Hall, which is now the Police Touch Museum. They held the national and international swimming meets there. You had to take a shower and be clean before you went in the pool. All our black pools in the city at that time, a lot of people couldn't even afford bathing suits, and this is a true story. Christian Street Y is one of them also. My brother learned how to swim in that pool. We were the only two, and we lived in North Philly, the only two in the pool with swimming trunks.
Wow.
You had to bathe. You had to bathe before you entered that pool, because of any kind of bacteria that may follow you. And just now, like down Wildwood, people weren't allowed to go in so many hundred stretches of shore because this system let in some fecal matter or something, and they wanted to test and see the degree of the fecal matter going in the pool. And guess what? How many of them people you think maybe their part of the pool might have been dirtier than the part that they closed off? But and on and on and on. It could be texting, it could be anything that people letting them know about an event. But it still goes true. You ought to be able to walk out your door and enjoy your neighborhood, but now it's going to become a police state.
All right, Dave, I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. You know what? He brought up something that I think we need to talk about, right? Because the very people who didn't want black folks in the pool. All right? I'm just saying. The very people that didn't want black folks in the pool are the same ones who are now saying that when I get in the pool, that's my bath. I'm saying, Valerie, the irony is just striking me like a hammer.
I actually was mentioning this to Koisa earlier. It's baffling that we are often looked at as a little like nasty or dirty, but we bathe properly. I'm talking with soap. Okay, hot
washcloth.
Water. Yes,
washcloth, right?
Talk to him.
That's what I'm talking about, because I'm looking at these commercials about the soap. I don't see nobody with a washcloth. That's a problem. Why you ain't got no washcloth and you just got the soap, rubbing it on your body like that's getting the dirt off?
Like,
Valerie?
You hand that off like a baton?
Come on now.
Mom, you're next.
Like, ew. You know what I'm saying? Kawesa scratching. I mean,
is that the hand soap too?
You know?
The face soap? I mean, I don't want to know how it works.
How does that work? I'm trying to figure it out. So the very people, you ain't want us in the pool, and y'all jumping in the pool, and now the truth comes out. With a survey done by the Centers for Disease Control that says 51% of y'all talking about when I get in the pool in the summer. So why are you looking like that?
I'm
That's
sorry,
my bad.
My face. I'm sorry. Yo, like it just, it really makes my skin itch. Like it really does. I'm still itching. I need to put my hand down. But you know, just just like you were saying. I mean, Dorothy did just put her. Just a little baby toe in the water, and they drained the entire pool.
Yeah, they did.
You know what I mean? And you want to sit here and talk about how dirty we are? Get the heck out of here, man. I'm sorry. That's just gross.
It's nasty. It's nasty. And public service announcement, and I'm doing this to help all of us. Getting in the pool is not a bath. It's not. And while I'm there, I might as well go ahead and say this, that taking a shower with just a bar of soap and not a washcloth, that's not a shower. You need a washcloth. You need to take the washcloth, right? Do I need to give instructions? You need to take the washcloth and actually, okay, you get the soap on it, you get the washcloth nice and sudsy, right? That's what you do. And then if you really want to really get clean, right? Like step out of the water a little bit and actually get the soap on you, right? Rub it in, right? And then get back under the water and allow the water to rinse off the soap. And while that water is rinsing off the soap, if you really want to get clean, right? Take your washcloth and also rinse off with that as well, right? You need to bathe, like properly. Bathe.
Please, not swim. Not these rinses.
Right.
This little water wet. I mean, even if you have to do a bird bath because a time crunch or something.
Right.
But this swimming, water touching, chlorine, that's not a thing, guys.
That's not a thing, and that's not a bath. And we need you to really, engage with the water and with the soap at the same time. But that's what we need from you because I don't want to get in the pool with you. You talking about you don't want us in the pool doing race riots and all of that, and you ain't even bathed.
In what world is bathing synonymous with swimming?
That's what I'm talking about.
I don't get it.
Not in my world.
Not this one.
Not where I come from. Carolyn Jones, my mother, would not allow it.
No.
All right? No, you got to bathe. What are you talking about? You ain't going to bathe. No, you got to bathe. Like, ill. So I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. Brother Joe from Germantown is on line 1. Go ahead.
Brother Solomon, how you doing, my brother?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
And Sister Val, I'm doing great. All praise be to Allah. Solomon, don't get me started on those racist bigots that y'all talking about. I hear all day talking about them. Don't get me started on them bigots. But anyway, Solomon, we spoke about the police situation a few minutes ago about how they hate us. Solomon, what's so disturbing, Solomon, is that when you saw the black female officer, she had the white shirt on. With the white shirt, they got some kind of rank. This fool was on TV telling us something. Well, while we find these officers' comments on Facebook and so deplorable, they got their First Amendment rights. I said, hell no. I said they can have it, but not on the police department. You can't be on the police department having them kind of views, and you got the power to take somebody's life, arrest somebody. See, Solomon, she's part of the problem. See, I get started these black officers. They always want to cut out these white racist bigots, and she got to know that those same cops harbor that same animosity against her. If she'd have had a uniform on, they'd be beating her upside the head and shooting her too. For a black female officer or male officer to sit there and try to excuse their behavior, it's disgraceful, Solomon. You got to call a spade, man. She's a disgrace. It made my blood boil when I saw this black female officer on the news the other day trying to take up for them. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is this, that I've had a lot of officers tell me privately that they agree with us on this subject. Many of them black, and of course the Guardian Civic League, one of the groups in the Rally for Justice Coalition, and they represent black police officers. And so, if that's her view, that's her view, and who knows why she's saying that. But I know that there are a lot of black officers who do not agree with that nonsense and who have spoke up on that issue. And so, Brother Joe, I want to thank you so much for your call. We're going to go to break, and on the other side, we're going to talk with Roxanne Jones about the baton being passed in the tennis world, and also about Kamala Harris and some of the things that are happening with her. I'm Solomon Jones. Roxanne Jones is on the other side. We'll be right back.
Reality Check. Reality Check. Hosted by Charles Ellison. Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. Right here on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WordRadio.com.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy. What about those graduations? Great occasions, wonderful memories, proud day, graduations for students young and old, proud day for families, smiles. It's graduation day at last. Tears, deep breathing, standing tall. Everyone, thank God it's graduation day. Some folks laughing, some screaming. Honors, summa cum laude, tassels, diplomas, speeches, caps in the air, hands clapping. One more journey, more on the way. Put one foot in front of the other, swagging in. They're taking pictures. It's graduation day, people.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
We are progressive and proud and interactive. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at onWURD. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live at WordRadio.com. Word Radio News Update with Vincent Thompson.
Good morning. Here's the latest from the Word Radio Newsroom, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy will sign a bill into law today expanding the state's medical marijuana program. The J. Koenig Compassionate Use Medical Cannabis Act would end the requirement that New Jersey patients see a doctor as many as 4 times a year to verify they are still sick enough to participate and reduce visits to once a year. The bill also lets patients buy more than 2 ounces of marijuana at a time, which typically is not enough to last for 1 month if patients or their families are making oil from the dried flower. The bill is named after the late 7-year-old boy who died from cancer. He would suffer debilitating pain when his cannabis oil ran out at the end of every month. Members of the legislature's Black and Hispanic caucuses are pushing for a marijuana arrest expungement bill and a decriminalization bill that is yet to find support from Governor Murphy and New Jersey Senate President Steve Sweeney. A house in Philadelphia's East Mount Airy section collapsed after a driver struck the front of the building with a truck yesterday. It happened around 7:30 a.m. on the unit block of Pleasant Street. Sandra Garnett was in her second-floor bedroom when the truck crashed into her home. She felt the house shake and then ran downstairs and called the police. Garnett and her disabled son were able to get out of the house before it collapsed, and police said there were no injuries. Neighbors said about 3 minutes after the crash, the home collapsed. The truck driver went to the hospital to be treated for bruised ribs, but is doing okay. Neighbors said they went to see a 4-way stop sign at the intersection of Musgrave and Pleasant Street. After this collision, Garnett said a car has crashed into her corner home before. Checking sports, the U.S. plays England today at 3 p.m. in the semifinals of the Women's World Cup tournament in France. The winner will advance to the World Cup final game, playing the winner of the Sweden versus Netherlands match. who play on Wednesday. The Phillies start a 3-game series against the Atlanta Braves today. The Phils are 5.5 games behind Atlanta in the National League East and tied with the Colorado Rockies for the second wild-card playoff spot. Los Angeles Angels pitcher Tyler Skaggs died in his Southlake, Texas hotel room yesterday at age 27. There has been no foul play suspected in his death. The Angels and Rangers postponed their game last night but are expected to play today. The Flyers signed 8 new players during the first day of free agency yesterday, including Philly native Kyle Crisculio to a 1-year, 2-way contract, and the Miami Heat completed a 4-team trade that allows them to sign All-Star guard Jimmy Butler to a 4-year, $142 million contract. Vincent Thompson, Word Radio News.
Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
This is a continuation of the mistreatment of black women in the United States. When I think of Black Lives Matter, I'm not just thinking of police brutality. I'm thinking about a whole law enforcement system screaming for reform. You can't tell me he didn't know something, and even if he didn't, he should have.
And now, Roxanne Jones, live on Wake Up with Word.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. And our next guest is Roxanne Jones. She's a former VP at ESPN, CNN opinion writer, Emmy-nominated producer, co-author of Say It Loud, an illustrated history of the black athlete, and CEO of the Push Marketing Group, a media strategy firm. Roxanne, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. Thanks for the intro.
Yep, you're welcome. We made sure we had it today, okay?
Thank you. There you go.
All right. So let's talk about Corey Goff. She's 15 years old. She upset 39-year-old Venus Williams in the first round at Wimbledon. So many storylines here, Roxanne. What's your take?
Mm-hmm. I'm excited. I think it's fantastic. You know, we can't really call it a passing of the torch yet in a full way, but I think that the winner herself, Goff, said to Venus after she won, I couldn't have done this without you. Thank you for everything you've done. And Venus said, you've done great. Keep going. You know, Venus is rooting for her. So I think passing the torch, which we so rarely see in corporate settings or professional settings, you know, this is what we should be doing. Knocking down barriers for our other sisters and brothers to not only excel, but surpass our goals, right? So I think it's exactly what Venus should be doing. And, you know, at 39, and Venus has had so many health issues, she's not playing the game. Of course you play to win because she's the ultimate competitor, but she's also playing because she loves tennis. And she loves the challenge, and she's pushing herself. And she knows she's an icon for young black boys and girls out there. She knows that. So I think it's exactly what we want to see. You know, there's nothing that I can see that's bad about it. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too, and it's just the irony of it because, you know, Venus Williams even opened a door for her sister. Like she started winning first before Serena.
She started winning first. She also started lobbying for equal pay for women. Women have equal pay at Wimbledon because Venus was really the ambassador, you know, as a big sister should be. You know, little sisters, I have one. You know, sometimes they get to make some mistakes, and you're plodding through, trying to clear the path for them, trying to teach them from your mistakes, and, you know, being strong. So I love that Venus is that woman, and she's done that. So many things that we don't see on the court, you know, as far as equality, breaking down racism and barriers, even how black fathers are seen in the tennis game. Because no matter what Richard Williams did, Venus was always the one to say, look, my father taught us this game. He will be respected. You don't talk about other fathers and their antics and what they do and their personal lives. So I will not have you, disrespect my father like that and sat next to him at every match, as she should have. So I think that, what she has done in the game is amazing for everybody, all women, but especially, black women who look like me.
Yeah.
And so, I'm not feeling sad today. I'm super excited. I would be mad if it was, I'm sorry, but, some little white girl from some other country that had beaten her. I would feel a certain way about that, to be honest. But I love it.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing, and we'll see just how far this young lady goes. I mean, she has just come in and really announced her presence, and so we'll see what happens from here.
That's right.
But I want to talk.
It's a long game. She's 15.
Yeah, exactly. She got a long way to go, but
hopefully.
Yeah. So let's talk about another black woman, Kamala Harris. She's rising in the polls since the debate. And there are rumors that have been swirling about her racial identity, rumors that Donald Trump Jr. tweeted about on debate night. Do you see shades of 2016 in this, Roxanne?
Of course. And I don't even want to give that full credence by talking about some nonsense racist tactics that we've already seen playing out. We know what they are. And I'm glad that other candidates and, kind of the public jumped on this because we're smarter now, right, about Russian bots, about how they use race to distract us and keep us from the polls. And so, I think that the reaction, the uproar to these rumors that started with Russian bots and with white people who are supporters of Donald Trump, I think that the reaction to that has been swift and accurate, and it can gain steam. I'm not even going to talk about it in detail because we all know what it is, right? And so we can't fall for the same tactics to keep us from the polls, as we saw, whether that's broken down voting machines or racism, injected in the candidates' careers like they're not American enough, as it did with President Obama. We know these things to be outright lies, and so they shouldn't distract us. We have to stay on point. Study the candidates, whether it's Kamala or Kamala. Black people always say Kamala, because I'm thinking of Tamala and Pamela. All whether it's Kamala or Elizabeth Warren or whoever you're supporting, just do your own research and don't get caught up in all of this social media Russian bot distraction. That would be a huge mistake for us. There's too much on the line.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting because she has risen in the polls. I saw a CNN poll where I think Biden is now at 22. He's gone down 10 points since last month.
He should.
Right? And she has risen, I guess, like 9 points.
Yes, she took a big, and I think, I'm covering Biden and Kamala for CNN, and I covered the debates, and I thought that rightfully so. I mean, she crushed everybody with intelligence, with thoroughness, with detail, with clarity on laws. It has us talking about and understanding, because many people don't know what busing was or all of the bills that Joe Biden wrote. I was sad that it was so short. I didn't like the format, but that we didn't get to talk about, or she and the other candidates didn't talk about mass incarceration and the work that Joe Biden did there. Busing is in the 70s. Joe was writing laws in the 90s and early 2000s supporting them that was putting millions of black and brown people in prison for nonviolent drug offenses. And we all know how that's affected us. And Kamala, while she was DA in San Francisco, Attorney General, she was combating that. So we need to really check out. She was trying to get nonviolent drug offenders, like some reprieve. Let's not put them all in prison. Let's think of some alternate community programs. Let's go into the schools and try to stop children from joining gangs. Let's try to think of and that was what that, parents were, I think about 6 parents in 1 year were sent to prison for not getting their kids to school, like truancy over years and years, or, just not taking advantage of any of the programs, saying parents have a responsibility to help their children avoid gangs, avoid being homicide victims, avoid being perpetrators of homicide. So,
that's the other thing I want to talk about, because I want to talk about the fact that she was a prosecutor. Now, there are some things in her record that I'm sure folks are not going to like, as she was a prosecutor and rose through the ranks really as a prosecutor. But you know what? Nobody's ever upset about white men who go from prosecutor to higher office. Ed Rendell was the DA, and then the mayor, and then the governor of Pennsylvania. Ron Castile was a DA and then became a Supreme Court justice in Pennsylvania. Rudy Giuliani was a prosecutor. Nobody ever says, I'm mad at them because they were a prosecutor. Why is it different with Kamala Harris?
Well, we know it's racism and it's sexism, and it is also because what Kamala was doing. So I've studied, and I continue to study her full record and the cases from when she was in San Francisco and Attorney General of California, because I think that's important to get through, that I have to talk about these things. So in the 90s, or in the 2004 when she was elected, she started her office in the hood. She's always been the underdog. She's always, kind of professed and done the work to say, I'm a defender of people who look like me, black and brown people, poor people, and people where there's high incidents of crime, violent crime. And let's see if we can help children. Let's see if we can do this. And she also was always against the death penalty. So some of the stuff that Krasner is doing now, who's considered a progressive, like the best example, he's always cited as the best example of being a progressive. I feel like Kamala set some of those precedents.
Okay.
Throwing out 1,000 cases of police officers who were found to be, as Krasner, on a no-call list. They didn't have a no-call list back then. They just let those same racist police officers who had lied or brutalized civilians or set evidence falsely, they still went on arresting people with no incident of no accountability. That's what was going on. And if you look at certainly Mayor Giuliani's record while I was in New York, are you kidding me? Stop and frisk was his favorite thing.
Yep.
Black people were being arrested for open beer can on their own stoop. Like it was I remember like trying to shield my son walking down the street because if you spit on the sidewalk and you were black or brown, Giuliani wanted you in jail. He wanted you in prison. And so you're right that we don't examine those records of white men who were prosecutors. And, again, as you're challenging the police in the racist Facebook post and talking about the black police officer who was kind of defending that, what I feel about Kamala or anybody that we're kind of questioning is if the system is racist and black people, I felt like this at ESPN and Disney or any place else I've worked, the system is racist. I alone can challenge things that I can challenge, but I can't change that system.
Right.
Kamala was not going to change the prosecutorial system. She did what she did. You can like it or not like it or be neutral about it, but some of the things that she did were opening the door for a Krasner to come in and say that we're not going to even prosecute these kind of low-level drug offenses or prostitution offenses, or we're going to demand that you explain why your bail is high, or we're going to, even the Facebook post. Like if this was 2004, nobody would be making a stink, Krasner included, about getting those police officers on desk duty or fired.
Right.
Because that's where the whole prosecution system was back then. And really it was a tough on crime stance that was started in part, a large part, by Joe Biden, right? So I think that what we have to do when we're looking at Kamala or, again, anybody else is, this word progressive, I personally don't need somebody to be a raging progressive. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
And I don't think black people, black and brown people are raging progressive. So, and I don't even think Krasner is a raging progressive. I think that he has, because of the people who got him in office, black and brown people who wanted criminal justice reform, who were most vocal in support for him. I think that he now has the liberty to take advantage of some of the things that were already pushed forward.
Yeah.
And he's setting his own precedents, but this is 2019. So we can't really, the word progressive, if you take it back to 2004 and you're talking about Kamala or Elizabeth Warren, you could look at her record throughout. Nobody was calling her a raging progressive way back then. They might have been, some of the stuff that she's pushed forward like Bernie Sanders, I think is far-fetched, and there are a lot more immediate needs, especially in black and brown communities, that I would like to see as much passion behind.
Right,
But
right.
I really can't think of any politician, including Bernie Sanders, who in 2004 was pushing the same progressive agenda that he is touting today.
Yeah, it's interesting, and we'll see what happens with it, because I think that the more information that people have, the better, especially when it comes to somebody like a Kamala Harris. Roxanne Jones, of course, a former VP at ESPN. She's also a CNN opinion writer, Emmy-nominated producer, co-author of Say It Loud, An Illustrated History of the Black Athlete, and CEO of the Push Marketing Group, a media strategy firm. Roxanne, thanks so much.
Thank you, Solomon. Have
All
a
right.
great week.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. We are going to go to break, and on the other side, we're going to take your calls at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
WordRadio.com.
Millions plan for retirement online. Estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, and manage your benefits all from the comfort of your home. And give yourself the freedom to do what you want offline. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Now, with more clarity, this is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live at wordradio.com. It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
All circuits are busy.
Here's what's trending.
Yo, that's crazy.
On Wake Up with Word.
Kim Kardashian West is to change the brand name for her latest fashion line following accusations of cultural appropriation when she tried to call the line Kimono Intimates. She said on Instagram, quote, "I am always listening, learning, and growing. When I announced the name of my shapewear line, I did so with the best intentions in mind," she added. "After careful thought and consideration, I will be launching my solution wear brand under a new name."
Nike has pulled a Betsy Ross flag-themed shoe from circulation after former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick expressed concern in the company about selling apparel he says features a slave-era emblem. Nike began to pull the shoe from stores nearly 2 weeks ago after Kaepernick and others raised concerns that the 4th of July theme Air Max 1 was not only racially insensitive but also has been adopted by some groups allegedly as a symbol of white nationalism.
And Patti LaBelle is to be honored with street naming at the Wawa Welcome America Festival. The godmother of soul will now have a street named after her today at the Kimmel Center at 4 p.m. Broad Street between Spruce and Locust will now be known as Patti LaBelle Way, and that is what's trending. You can, of course, go to our website, WURDradio.com. That's where you can check out all of our stories and read them in their entirety. So we are taking your phone calls at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio and let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about this morning. Of course, we went in concerning Kim Kardashian, talking about naming her shapewear line as kimono, which is, of course, the name of a Japanese garment. That is a robe that has been out since the year 645. That's right, 2,000 years or so. And so, yeah, stop it. Stop playing. No, you're not going to name your thing a kimono. It don't even look like a kimono. Stop trying to steal people's culture. So we're glad that she listened. But this Betsy Ross flag, and it's interesting because, you know, as a Philadelphian, I have seen for many years the Betsy Ross house right down there on Arch Street, around 3rd and Arch. And, you know, you never think about the fact that, you know, black people were enslaved when you're talking about a person named like Betsy Ross, when you're talking about this flag with the 13 stars. There are rumors, of course, that she didn't even design a flag, that a slave designed a flag anyway. But it has been used as a symbol of racism. That, along with that "Don't Tread on Me" flag and that kind of stuff, used as a symbol of the Tea Party and you know, the things that they were doing to oppose Obama. And you're right, they disappeared. Tim Golden said yesterday to T, have you heard anything from the Tea Party since Obama's been gone? And the answer is no, because they were organized to protest the election of a black president. That's what it was for. That's why they were there. And the thing that really broke my heart and continues to break my heart is when I see black people adopting those views. When I see black people adopting that mess and not being savvy enough to understand, fool, they talking about you. That's why they're there. They are there to oppose you, your freedom, your advancement, your success. That's why they're there. And you gonna join with them? That, you know, that kind of stuff. And everybody has the right to their opinion, and that's mine. My opinion is that when you see these kinds of movements, you really have to be discerning about whether or not this is something that you want to agree with and follow, when in fact these people are targeting you. They talking about you. They not talking about just random people. They talk about black and brown people. They are talking about you. The Tea Party disappeared. Once Obama was gone, no more Tea Party. Because they were there and organized to protest against him, to stand against him, to stand against his right to be president of the United States. That's why they were there. And so, but we got some folks who, you know, and it takes all kinds. We got all kinds of views, and we want to share some of them. So we got some Facebook comments that are coming in. Valerie, what are we seeing on Facebook?
Well, we actually have a lot from one person in particular, Dwayne Kennedy. He feels that black officers have said a lot of things about black folk on Facebook too. You got to keep it 100 about that. Ataya Hicks, she agrees with Solomon, and she says you are too funny because you had to teach people how to bathe. But back to Dwayne, because he's here pretty often. He wanted you to ask Roxanne about the 80% birth mom rate in the black community. He also said, imagine if a white person said they would feel some type of way if a black girl won. Speaking of Corey versus Venus.
You know what I wonder about people like that? I wonder if they're real, because you don't know. What I've learned about Facebook and about social media in general is that the Russians used Facebook, they used Instagram, they made up phony accounts, they made up phony people, they presented themselves as if they were black, when in reality they weren't. And they were just there to sow discord. So they would do things like this. Mm-hmm. They would come into spaces where there were other black people and begin to sow discord, right? They would begin to promote ideology that would be offensive if it came from somebody that was white, but they would put a black face on it, or they would put a black name on it, and they would say, see, this is another black person saying this to you. And so I often wonder if these people are real. I do. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, I know a lot of our listeners, right? I've seen them in real life. Like Casa, who was a real person, right? Who lives in North Philly. He keeps saying Templetown. I keep telling him you live in North Philly. But I know he's a real person. I know people who call by pseudonyms, right? Jamila has been somebody who has called talk radio for years, going back to WHAT and Mary Mason, right? I know that these are real people because I've been around. You understand what I'm saying? And when somebody just shows up out of nowhere, you have never seen them on the street. And again, I've lived in Philadelphia for decades, all my life, right? And so I know a lot of people in our community. I ain't never seen you, dog. I ain't never seen you, right? I don't really know you. And so when you show up out of nowhere and start talking this Trump stuff, I kind of got to wonder, are you real? I got to be honest. So, you know, Dwayne, give us a call. I want to see if you're real. 215-634-8065. We have to begin to be discerning about this stuff. If people just start showing up out of nowhere, talking some stuff that sound like it's from the alt-right, but they got a black face on it, I got to know, are you real? You know what I'm saying? So give us a call. I want to hear your voice. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. We have to begin to really examine when folk just begin to come in out of nowhere. Are you real? Have you been paid? Are you somebody who is working on behalf of somebody else? Like, George, speaking of that, right? George from Center City, right? I know George. I know who he is. I know his real name. I see him in real life. I know he's a real person, right? And I understand his agenda might be a little bit different from ours, and that's fine. He might be working with some folks that we don't necessarily agree with. That's fine. But at least I know he's real. I see the brother. I give him a pound. You know what I mean? Because at least I know that you are real. I don't agree with you, but I know that you're real. But when folk begin to just show up on social media with a black face or a black name and you saying all kind of stuff that sound like you speaking directly for Donald Trump, I got to know, are you real? So I tell you what, give me a call, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. We can no longer fall for the okie doke. I'm going to tell y'all something. As we approach 2020, and I thought about this last night, man, and I just need y'all to know this, man, as our listeners, that as we approach 2020, you are going to begin to hear people on our airwaves that you've never heard before. And they're going to be saying all kind of stuff that sound like they come directly from Donald Trump, right? You're going to hear people coming on our airwaves that sound like they directly from the alt-right. But they're going to have black names. They're going to have black voices. They're going to sound like they're from our community, but they're not. And so you just have to begin to look out for that and understand that there are going to be some folk who are going to be paid to jump into the conversation and say some stuff that's going to throw you off. They're going to be paid to come into the conversation and say some stuff that represents the other side of the coin. They're going to be paid to come into the conversation and say some stuff that really that really does not make sense. And so the number, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That's the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. And maybe you're real. If you're real, give me a call. I want to hear from you. All right? 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation. Let's talk to Sandra from Southwest on line 1. Go ahead, Sandra.
Yes. Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
Good morning. I was calling because of, this is my opinion and my experience, that not all white people, but too many white people, I don't think like soap and water. And I'll give you 2 examples. There's a commercial that comes on TV, and it's this little kid, maybe 5 years old. He's in the bathroom, and he's peeing. His mom is downstairs, and she calls out to him that it's time to go. And he hollers back to her, "Okay, Mom, I'm on my way." He zippins up his pants, and he runs out the door. There's no washing of hands in the commercial, okay? Another example is just recently, this weekend, I think I heard over the news that there's an outbreak with these little kids going to these petting zoos. They're petting these animals, not washing their... Now, they're kids. They don't know that after they pet an animal that they need to wash their hands.
Yeah, but the parents ought to know.
The parents should know.
Right.
The parents definitely
Right.
should know. And so his outbreak of, I can't remember what disease it is, but of these children. And it has been my experience when I was working. Unfortunately, too many Caucasian women would come out of the bathroom and go straight out of the door without washing their hands. So like I said, this is just my opinion and my experience, that I don't believe that they really like soap and hot water.
Well, that's not everybody. I hear you, and I think that's a select, because you would smell people if they don't bathe, you would know. You know what I mean? So I hear you, and I have seen that, but I've seen that from all kind of people, man. I've seen some stuff, Jack. People come in the bathroom, don't wash their hands. They want to come, you know what I mean, put their hands on the common food that you got for the meeting and all that stuff. Like, you know, you got to watch people, man. So I hear you, and I want to thank you for your call this morning on WRD, but that's certainly not everybody, and it certainly does not go by race. But I hear you, and I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. We got Dwayne on the line. Dwayne from Facebook. Dwayne, you're real. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Solomon.
How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
I'm good. So tell me now about you took offense to Roxanne saying that she would have been offended, or she would have felt differently if somebody of another persuasion had beat Venus Williams.
Right, because I mean, in America, we're all Americans, man, right? So I don't know about everybody else, but I progress past all this colorism stuff. I don't care if you're black, white, Chinese. If you're good people, you're good people. And that's the way I view it. And when I hear somebody like her say, well, if it was a white girl, I would have been disappointed. Well, what if, I don't know, some white newscaster said that on Channel 10? You know, she gets fired for that. So, so where's the equality in that? There's no equality.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, bro. And it would be nice if we had equality and everything. And that's, I think that's a nice, wait a minute. I'll let you say what you had to say. Let me respond. I think it would be nice if we had equality and everything, but the reality is we don't. Do you think that everything is equal? Do you think that the criminal justice system, for instance, is built on equality?
In 2019, I believe so, yes.
You do believe that the criminal justice system is built on equality. Okay, and so why in 2019 are black people still disproportionately represented in prison, even when they have the same record, even when they've committed the same crime as other folks? Why do you think that is?
Well, I don't see that going on.
You don't look at the numbers?
I know white folks that got locked up for dumb stuff, a lot of them. But I also know a lot of black people that got locked up for dumb stuff.
Right.
But the bottom line is, and people don't want to talk about it, people don't like to admit it, but the bottom line is what? Black people commit more crimes.
Black people commit more crimes. Do you love black people at all, or do you not? Let's just get down to brass tacks, right? Do you love black people or not?
Do I love black people?
Yeah.
Do I love black people?
Yes.
I do love black people, yes.
Okay. All right. Why you had to think about it?
Because I don't want to sound crazy, but I do love black people. I do want to see us doing a whole lot better. But a lot of times we don't point the finger at ourselves. A lot of times we make excuses as to why, this is going on in my life and that's going on in my life. Instead of standing up and putting your pants on and go outside and doing something about something.
So,
about that, but that's true.
No, I think that you have a point. I think that certainly there is personal responsibility in everything that we do, but I think there are some things that are systemic. So let me ask you this: since you think that black people are not disproportionately represented in the criminal justice system, do you think there is a such thing as systemic racism? Does racism exist in any of our systems, such as the criminal justice system, for instance?
No. If there's a law saying that
there's no such thing as systemic racism.
Let me say this. If there's a law, there's no law in the book saying that a black person cannot do X, Y, Z. If you show me that law, then I'll agree.
Okay.
Black people have the same rights as anybody else.
So
you can do whatever you want to do in this country.
So let me ask you this:
that the better off you'll be as a community.
The better off I'll be as a community. So are you part of our community, or are you not?
No, I said we.
Okay, so let me ask you this. And I'm looking at the numbers right now, right? And blacks have long outnumbered whites in U.S. prisons. There has been a decline in the number of black prisoners. That gap has narrowed over the past decade, and that's according to data from the Bureau of Justice Statistics. But we still outnumber whites in U.S. prisons. Is it because we are inherently criminal? We just are criminals. Is that the reason why?
I believe that the situation makes us criminals. I mean, we have some.
Oh, so there is a such thing as racism then?
No, I don't think it's racism.
So what's the situation that makes us criminals? What's the situation that makes us criminals?
Well, being brought up by a single mom, number one.
Being brought up by a single mom makes you a criminal.
You go to.
Do you really believe that, bruh?
Yeah, you go to any city in this country, any city. I don't care where it is. Any city in this country that is in the black community is full of what? It's the most violent places in any city in this country is where black people are. Am I wrong?
No, I think that in Philadelphia. No. Let me just break this down for you. Do you live in Philadelphia?
I live in the suburbs.
Ah, you live in the suburbs. So do you live around black people at all, or?
I mean, it's a nice mix. It's a nice.
It's a nice mix. Okay, well let me ask you this: do you know about how many people are in Philadelphia?
How about how many people? I know that Philadelphia is predominantly a black city.
That's not true. Philadelphia is predominantly people of color, but it's about 44% black. It's about 44% black.
Say 40% black.
It's about 40. Listen to me, bruh. It's about 44% black, right? And then I think it's maybe around 16 or so percent Latino, around 40-some% white. So when you put blacks and Latinos together, it's mostly black and brown people in Philadelphia. But there's about 685,000 people and black people in Philadelphia, right? I'm just going to give you that number. That's the truth from the census, right? Do you know how many shootings there were in Philadelphia last year?
Last year, my memory serves me correctly, it was about 500, 600, something like that.
No, it was about 2,200 shootings in Philadelphia last year.
Giving them the benefit of
Right?
the doubt.
It was about 2,200 shootings in Philadelphia last year, but there's 685,000 black people in Philadelphia. What percentage of 685,000 is 2,200?
Hold on 1 second. I got to turn my radio down.
Okay. All right.
All right,
So,
I got Scott in my truck, so I had to turn the radio down.
okay.
But,
So
I don't
I'm
know,
just going to give it to you.
I don't know these numbers, man.
It's about 0.3%, right? And so even if all of those shootings were committed by black people, that means that 99.99% of black people are not involved in these shootings, right? So you don't know what you're talking about. You can hang up, but you don't know what you're talking about. The bottom line is when you talk about the black community is the most violent place ever, that's not true because most of us aren't involved in that. You know what I mean? You going by, and I want you to continue to listen, bruh. I want you to because I want to help you, right? I want you to continue to listen. I want you to come and get around your people. I want you to come to some of our events. I want you to be around us so that you can understand who your people really are and stop spouting something you heard somebody else say. I understand you live in the suburbs with other folk and you hear them saying that and you think that if you say it too that they'll like you better, but they won't. And so, because people respect you when you stand up for your own. People respect you when you go by facts that you've actually researched for yourself rather than parroting what you've heard them say about your own people. We got to do better. And that's why I said call, because I just needed to know where you was coming from. And now I know you coming from a place where you don't really know facts. And you're basing what you say on what you heard other people say. And, I love you. I do. I love all of our people enough to try to engage with our folk so that we can at least talk from a foundation of facts when we talk about us. You know what I mean? And the fact is that most of us, the vast majority of us, are out here actually going to work, taking care of our kids, loving our families, paying our taxes, doing what we're supposed to do. That's what the vast majority of us are doing. And when we begin to look down on each other, we are doing the job of those who hate us for them. We need to do better. I'm going to go to break, and on the other side, we're going to talk with State Representative Rosita Youngblood. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Brothers and sisters!
Don't miss The Source. Weekdays 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
on Word Radio.
WordRadio.com and the Word Radio app.
Tune in the first Wednesday of the month for EcoWord's Pico Energy Wednesdays during Reality Check with Charles Ellison at 5 p.m. Pico, powering communities.
Be heard.
Be heard.
Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
Using the hashtag onWord.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black Media.
Drive in
with Solomon Jones.
Drive home
with Charles Ellison.
This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Philadelphia, independent Black Media.
don't want nobody else to ever love me. You are my shining star, my guiding light, my love fantasy. There's not a minute, hour, day, or night that I don't love you. You're at the top of my list, cause I'm always thinking of you. I still remember in the days when I was scared to touch you, how I spent my day dreaming, planning how to say I love you. You must have known that I had feelings deep enough to swim in. That's when you opened up your heart and you told me to come and hold my love. 1,000 kisses from you is never too much. I just don't wanna stop. Oh my love. A million days in your arms is never too much. I just don't wanna stop. Too much, never too much, never too much, never too much.
You're waking up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Good morning. Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM.
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD, and we are back with our next guest, State Representative Rosita Youngblood. She represents the 198th Legislative District. Good morning, Representative Youngblood. How are you?
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
I'm doing well. So there is a power plant that SEPTA is trying to do in the Nicetown community. The people have been standing up against that for a while. What's going on with that? Why are the people against it?
First of all, you don't need a gas plant. You can do solar energy. And what I need to do is a little history lesson, first of all. Back in between 1991 and 99, Tom Foglietta, who was the former congressman, designated that as a brownfield and gave $60 million in federal funds. I also remember the Fernhill KOZ, which was a Keystone Opportunity Zone, which is supposed to stimulate growth and jobs. That never happened. You can't even find the deed to this whole property, which was once known as Midville Heppenstall, at all. And if the state was involved in this and it was in the state inventory, that should have been given back to the state to see what other public uses could be used. When you go online, you'll see PIDC, which is Philadelphia Industrial Corporation, a church, and two SEPTAs. So what I want to know, how did this parcel get so divided up? And not only that, you have United Scrap Metal that is there. This company is out of Cicero, Illinois, and they're actually mulching scrap metal. I don't know who sold the community out, but I consider this environmental racism since this site is very toxic. It has been proven the highest rate of asthma and respiratory diseases are within that particular area. SEPTA is not willing to sit down with the community nor me to negotiate anything. Each time I met with them, I had a certified environmentalist with me and asked them to talk. They wouldn't do it. And he told them straight up, their plans were flawed. Now they're before this regulatory review board that I questioned, which was started by council in 1995, and said that the license and inspections has the final say-so on any environmental issues. When did they become an authority that they can say what happens in our communities? I'm appalled at what happened and what's happening. They would never do this anywhere else within city confines, but except in that area because they know it's a depressed area. Mm-hmm. What has been put back? I want you to look up Marcia Serlin, Serlin. She's the CEO for United Scrap Metal, and she's in that How did she get the damn land? Who sold it to her. And she's in there talking about she gives back to the community. What has she given back to Philadelphia? And this Nesco company, they know better, except to cut a deal so that they can get multi-million dollars out of this community, which is unfair. And it needs to be a statewide investigation. And I don't understand why they can't use solar. And it's been proven. That area has the highest concentration of pediatric asthma, respiratory than any other place in the nation. And they still want to do it, and it's not fair.
So what are the next steps then? I know that tonight there's going to be a demonstration, it looks like.
Yes, there will be a demonstration. Because of my health, I wouldn't be able to attend. But to express, because the majority of the people don't even know this is happening. And you can't say a public-private partnership. You should inform the community on what's going on. And there'll still be toxins coming if they build it. And what we're trying to do is say, do not agree to give them their final permit. And I want to know, how did they get any permit? The plant is almost finished at the final stages of being built. They're just waiting on a permit so they can be operational.
And so how do you stop something when it's in the final stages? I mean, what?
You can stop it. You can stop it. The community has to cry out, and I'm expecting some of the other elected officials to cry out to talk about this travesty that has happened to this community. And it can no longer continue to exist. I mean, where else? This is reminding me of another Flint, Michigan. We have environmental racism. They don't care because they look at it. This is a solid black community. It's underserved. It's underprivileged. So we can do whatever we want, and it doesn't even matter. And it should not be looked at as that way. These are still human beings. You look at the schools. You have Steel School near there. You have Wissahickon Charter. Right across the street is the Kroc Center. And when this was originally designated, see, they forgot, I know the history. When they originally got that parcel, it was supposed to only be to wash SEPTA's vehicles and to repair them and to put in an industrial sewer system for the runoff. There was never anything in the design about a gas power plant. You can do whatever you want. And I want to know who in the city decided to designate all these parcels to all these different people.
Yeah. I hear you. Well, tell us about the that protest that's going to be taking place tonight. Where is that?
It's going to be at 4300 Wissahickon Avenue, right in front of their Midville plant.
All right. Well,
and we from 6 to 7, and we're asking everyone to come out because, well, today it may be Nicetown, tomorrow it could be you.
I hear you. That is State Representative Rosita Youngblood. She represents the 198th Legislative District. I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on WURD.
You're quite welcome, and I think my staff will look forward to seeing you broadcast from there this evening.
I'm not going to be there broadcasting. That's not going. But I might stop by. I might do that because I do live, within driving distance. So I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD.
You're welcome.
All right.
Okay.
Take care. Right. So we want to hear from you. Phil from North Philly is on line 1. 215-634-8065 is the number. Phil from North Philly, you're on WURD. Good morning.
Good morning. Look, I'm not a sports player or anything. I heard you mention something about the tennis match.
Yes.
Yesterday. Who was that about? Serena or somebody?
Venus Williams played a young woman and she lost.
Yeah. Here's the case. I looked at it quite a few times early this morning. How good does that lady play? As long as she had been playing, no way she would hit a ball that low. I think she just gave it to the kid to give a kid a break because they have enough money. Venus,
you think that's what happened? You think she threw the match?
Yes,
I doubt it.
You don't think so?
Nah, I don't think so.
Oh yeah, I never seen it. I mean, I've never watched a complete game of it, but I know she don't hit a ball that low in the net. But That's all I wanted to say on that.
Mm-hmm.
I was really surprised. This kid's only 15, too, or something like that, 16.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I was glad that kid won. I figured she just gave it to her to get a kid encouragement and make sure she continue. So I think she threw the match.
Okay. All right. Well, I hear you. I want to thank you, Phil. One of the things, and I appreciate the brother calling in. He's on Facebook as Dwayne Kennedy, and I appreciate the brother calling in and stating his right-wing views of the black community that he no longer lives in. So we appreciate that. But we didn't hang up on you, bro. You hung up. So let's just be honest about that. But the reality is this, that we do have to do better as a people, and that part of that is sharing information that's factual with each other, and then forming opinions based on those facts, and then working together in order to make things better for us. The same people that got all of this right-wing stuff to say when we say, all right, come on, let's take to the street to make sure that our people are treated fairly. Where y'all at, though? Still on Facebook? Because we in the street. Like, we ain't got time to be playing no games, man. We got people whose lives are on the line. And I think, certainly you can have whatever opinion you want to have about our folks and about our personal responsibility or whatever. But when you start talking about our mamas, when you start talking about if you raised by a single parent, then you are going to be a criminal, right? Then you need to kind of take a step back and I think begin to really examine yourself and your own motives and your view of your own people and especially your own women. Black women, man, have stood in the gap while you have brothers running their mouths, brothers being irresponsible, brothers going to jail, brothers doing all kind of stuff. And certainly personal responsibility, I agree, plays a role in all of that. But to try to claim that our black women cannot raise successful children is a lie from the pit of hell. And bro, you owe our women an apology. You need to apologize to our women. And if you got a woman, you need to go home and apologize to her. Buy her something nice. Take her out to dinner. Do something to let her know the queen that she is. Because so many black women, man, have sacrificed so much for us to be able to succeed. And for anyone to actually publicly fix their lips to say that black women somehow are failing our children is reprehensible. And so when that becomes your mindset, really we need to examine ourselves. And I challenge all of us to do that, man. I love the black women who raised me. And I love my father. He was around, he was there. It wasn't like, but my parents did separate. They did divorce when I was a kid. And the bulk of raising us was on my mother. And she went through a lot, man, to raise me into a man. And certainly I stumbled and made mistakes and almost made fatal mistakes myself. But because my mother raised me, because my aunt and my grandmother and all of those mothers at the church and in the community raised me, I am the man who I am now. And so more of us need to realize that. And I think really, really salute our mothers and our women and even now, man, the young women who are out here trying to do it now. And the young brothers who are out here trying to do it now. We need to be saluting them rather than trying to put them down based on something that you heard somebody else from outside of our community say. And I just got to say that. I just got to be honest about that we need to be saluting our sisters, man, for all that they have done for us. That's going to do it for today's show right here on Wake Up with Word. I want to thank everybody who joined us on today's show, including State Senator Vincent Hughes, Saeed Lyon, CNN commentator Roxanne Jones, State Representative Rosita Youngblood, and now for super producer Kawesa Mathis and super intern Valerie Maynard, I am your host Solomon Jones, saying tune in tomorrow at 7 for more Wake Up with Word. Peace.
Listen to Word Radio on the go with the Word Radio app. Search for WURD in your favorite app store today and take us with you wherever you go. Stay connected to Word Radio, independent black media.
Independence is a precious thing, but now and then everyone needs a little help. Isn't it good to know that getting the help you need doesn't mean drastically changing your life? Always Best Care Philly in Delaware is there to give you